Yes, please. Got it. Thank you.
Okay.
So, Rich, there are apparently a couple of errors on the agenda that I did not catch. And
Well,
I guess Bob
let
did.
me open the meeting first, then we can discuss the agenda.
Okay.
All right. Starting again in accordance, calling to order the May 18th meeting of the Lunenburg Conservation Commission in accordance with the requirements of the open meeting law. Please be advised that this meeting is being audio video recorded. The agenda lists all the topics which may be discussed at the meeting and are those reasonably anticipated by the chair. Votes may be taken as a result of those discussions. Not all items listed may in fact be discussed, and other items not listed may also be brought up to the discussion to the extent permitted by the open meeting law. Please address all comments to myself, the chair. This meeting of the Conservation Commission will, excuse me. This meeting of the Conservation Commission will be held by Zoom at the link provided on this notice.
Jump in the middle of the meeting. I mean, we could, but we would interrupt the meeting.
Whoever is listed as PACC, if you could mute yourself, please. Okay, Rich, you should be all set.
Okay. Moving forward with announcements. Matt, you had a comment on the agenda.
Yeah, apparently I made a few boo-boos that I didn't catch and Bob didn't catch. Okay, so the, let's see, under continued public hearings, the one for Harrison, actually, I thought was continued. That was a positive determination, so that can be eliminated. 206 Falula Road sent a notice late this afternoon that I copied to Bob. I didn't realize he wasn't going to be here. They requested a continuance.
260?
Yep.
Okay, which is fine because they don't have a DEP number anyways.
Right, and Nazarenko, actually, we approved it last meeting. There was just something I had to follow up on. And I originally had it written on my notes as a continuance, and I didn't realize until I checked on the meeting. So that one you can take off as well.
Okay. And all the other ones are listed properly?
All the other ones are listed properly.
All right. While you were speaking, I thought I saw Nadia. Is that Nadia, our future administrator?
Yes,
I am here.
All right. Did you want to introduce yourself, Nadia?
Sure. Hi, I'm Nadia. Really looking forward to joining the town of Lunenburg as conservation agent. I've worked in Shirley before, been on the commission in Groton, so looking forward to helping out.
Super. Well, welcome aboard. I'll try to watch for you. If you have any questions, just throw your hand up or butt on in. I'm
Right.
Richard Bursch, and I'm the vice chair, acting chair this evening, and then the other members can call themselves out briefly. Anybody? Other members want to just say hello to Nadia?
Hi, Nadia. My name is Patty Adams.
Hi, Nadia. I'm Katie.
Hi, Nadia. I'm Jeff Viviano. And Rich, I think you need to do roll call as well, just a reminder.
Good idea.
Hey, Nadia, it's Mike LaRouche. Welcome aboard.
All right, so we had Mike, Jeff, Katie, Patty, myself, Bob Pease is not here, and Jack Rabbit, are you present?
He's here. He's muted though.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. Thank you, Katie.
All right. Moving forward, any public comment from commissioners? Seeing none, any public comments from the public? Please raise your hand. Seeing none, I guess we'll dive right into our first public hearing pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 as amended in the Lunenburg Wetland Bylaw and Regulations as listed in Chapter 2:39, the Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on a notice of intent by Jillian and Nicholas Pauling for the construction of an 18 by 36 detached garage within the current location and 10 by 12 shed, 12 by 24 garage shed, playground swing set area, and covered wood pile. Proposed project also includes removal of an existing railroad timber edge from the existing yard area, along with the placement of fill to be loamed and seeded within the former 8x8 pool shed above round pool and pool deck area, currently fire pit area. Proposed earth excavation and disturbance is limited to excavation for the slab of grade foundation for the proposed garage and placement of fill loam within the depressed yard areas of 568 Reservoir Road. And who do we have here? I see Nick for 568.
That's correct.
All right, Nick, let me bring up and see what we've got submitted. All right, just permit me 1 second. Yeah, that's up.
I do have the submitted materials, Mr. Chair, if you'd like me to share my screen.
No, I do have them. I'm just.
Very good.
Okay. I'm looking for Reservoir Road. So this is listed as a notice of intent, Matt, but it's an RDA.
That's correct.
Yeah, that's correct. It's an RDA.
Okay, so I did look at this quick. Is it Nick?
Yes, sir.
I didn't see any plan.
Okay. I have a plan that was submitted along with it, if you'd like. Those images. Yeah, this is actually the old file.
Okay, do we have an updated file, Matt?
The plan should have been on there. I don't know what happened to them, but I could have sworn I put them there.
Okay,
I know Nick probably has them if he wants to share his screen. Because I know when I went out with Rich Tremblay on Saturday, I had pulled it off the cloud to show him. So I don't know what
Okay.
happened to it. Unless I inadvertently did something when I was pulling it off the cloud Saturday and didn't realize it.
all right, let me just stop sharing, Nick, and you can share yours.
I think you're all set.
Yeah,
I just need permission, unfortunately.
Hmm. It is selected, so you can share. Oh, here we go. All right, try it now.
Yep, that'll do it.
Okay,
I'll actually just so everyone can see my screen now. Should see a portion of a plan.
Mhm.
A locus. Everyone see that?
Mhm.
Yep.
So again, my name is Nick Pauling, owner, representative, all in one. It's an RDA as Mr. Chairman read, it's on the west side of Lake Shirley. This is Reservoir Road here. This is Autumn Road. This is a large wetland. This is what I affectionately call the North Pole during the Christmas season with the tennis courts that put all the lights on it. I'm about 800 feet off the road, up about 40 feet. What you'll notice if I come down to the plan here, Reservoir Road is now at the bottom. The property is accessed by a common drive that goes by my neighbor's property, comes into my main dwelling, and what we're talking about tonight is all located here in the rear of the dwelling or the property. What you'll notice is this is a large marsh area that encompasses the majority of my property as well as my neighbor that I share the common driveway with. As we keep going over to the site plan, you'll notice there was a laundry list of things in the public notice, including what I call garage shed, a wood pile, a swing set shed, the play area, and then this is the former above ground pool, There was an 8x8 pool shed here, as well as an above ground deck. So the proposal is basically to clean up all of those areas and construct one large storage container. I called it a garage just because it will have a garage door. There's no everyday access to this. Long term, hopefully there'll be a camper van parked there, but that will be driving across my lawn to get into it. I have the package that was submitted, the RDA package that was submitted included these photos. I think this is somewhat speaks a little bit more. Pardon that I was planning on doing this last fall, hence the leaves and the ice. But what you'll notice in the foreground is you have the timber depressed area, the circle here is where the pool used to be. This is what I'm calling the garage, as it has a roll-up garage door. And then you'll see the swing set in the distance, side view, same garage shed. This is the hidden play shed and the swing set. And as I continue to go down, what you'll notice is this is the rear view. This is the beginning of the slope that goes down to the marsh. And then this is just a front view again, which also shows the wood pile. So there's erosion control proposed along the top of this slope leading down to the marsh, while this is being demolished, excavated to put in the slab on grade foundation. This depressed area here, you can kind of see the change in grade from the grass down to the stone area where this used to be pool. The removal of all these subsurface pipes, really just kind of trying to clean up the outside yard. That's the application. I can certainly change from this to the plan or anything else, or answer any specific questions the commission may have.
Okay, where's the? They're in the wetland.
And I didn't say yes to the attorney question. That was from the before. I never got a
I'll move.
recommendation for editor.
I'll move this down just so you can see.
Sorry, Nick, I muted everybody because somebody was spouting. You'll have to unmute yourself.
No worries. So I moved the plan down just so that everyone could see the surveyed edge of the marsh, as well as the 30-foot, the 30-foot, the 50-foot, as well as the 100-foot. So what you'll notice is that the current sorry, I don't know if I cut out there. The closest encroachment is actually the wood pile at about 78 feet. Right here to the marsh. We have the shed here at 82 feet, and we're proposing to put the straw wattle at about 76 feet, right at the top of the slope to protect that down gradient edge as we remove this material.
Just a quick question, Nick.
Yes, sir.
The original application that we have on file that I had brought up
Yep.
was showing some work in front of the house, a deck and things like that. Was that removed from this application?
No, it was actually an application that I submitted and you issued a negative determination in March of 2021. During that time, as you know, some things went a little crazy. I've ordered windows for that, but they've taken 18 weeks. So that is momentary as far as work. That was, if I zoom in on this picture, this reference here, proposed addition, C plan reference 2.
Mm-hmm.
That was this area.
Okay. So that was previously approved.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So that whole application then was a previous application.
It appeared so, yes.
All right. I don't have any further question. When you're looking to do this summer?
Hopefully, if the materials are available, the contractor that would be doing the addition is able and willing to do this. We'll see if I can harvest from the money tree to actually make it happen.
Okay. Any questions from commissioners? Please put your hand up or. I am not seeing any hands. Any questions from the public on 568 Reservoir Road. Please raise your hand. I have one, Matt.
Okay, so I went on the site with both Mr. Tremblay and then today with Nadia. The area in question is basically already open ground. There's no tree removal proposed. If anything, what he's doing is he's taking a bunch of structures out, replacing it with one structure, and basically stabilizing a lot of unstable ground. It's well outside the 50-foot. Some of the work actually is right on the edge of the buffer zone. My recommendation would be for a negative determination.
Thank you, Matt. Any other questions from commissioners or the public?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Nick.
I just wanted to point out that there is no intention for tree removal. But the path, the hell is paved in intentions. There's a tree here that I fully intend to limb. But I'll certainly contact I guess Nadia at that time, if that tree is to be removed.
Okay, great. All right, seeing no other questions or comments from commissioners or public, I will at this point accept a motion for a negative determination.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Jack, second by, sounded like Katie.
Yep.
All right, roll call vote. Patty Adams,
Aye.
Katie Childs,
Aye.
Jack Rabbit,
Aye.
Jeff Viviano,
Aye.
Mike LaRouche,
Aye.
and I for myself. All right, thank you very much, Nick.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your evening.
We shall. You too. All right, moving forward. And we'll go to continued hearings pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 is amended, and the Lunenburg Wetland Bylaw and Regulations is listed in Chapter 239. The Conservation Commission will hold a hearing on a notice of intent by Glenn Mackey to construct and replace a culvert at 160 Mass Ave. I believe I saw the Brain Trust. There it is.
Yep, we're here.
Okay, I believe you have a DEP number.
Yes, we did. We received one last week.
Okay, and I did see that there were some comments from DEP. Would you care to address them?
Sure. I'm not sure if you gentlemen received the email that we got, but there was also a question on bank and bordering land subject to flooding. And I responded and I spoke to Thomas Rebula at DEP following my email reply to him. And I kind of expounded on what we are doing. And I was like, we are really not working within a bank, and we're not working within bordering land subject to flooding. The bordering land subject to flooding is contained within the culvert area. And he was satisfied with my commentary and my explanation that I emailed. I think it was on May 11th.
Okay.
And basically the threshold is what I just kind of expounded with him, just going through the 310 CMR with the various thresholds and the various performance standards. I mean, we're adhering to the riverfront performance standards, which are more arduous for the most part than the other performance standards associated with other resource areas.
Okay. I believe at the last meeting, we were just waiting on the DEP number. Is that correct, Matt?
And a clear check.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay.
And yes, I can corroborate, because I believe I forwarded the emails to Bob. There was definitely a dialogue and a response as indicated by the applicant. So at this point, I think it would be safe to close the hearing and issue an order of conditions if the commission so desires.
Okay. At this point, do we have any questions or comments from commissioners? I'm seeing no hands. Any questions or comments on 160 Mass Ave from the public? I see none. At this point, I will accept approval of this notice of intent with a standard boilerplate order of conditions for 160 Mass Ave.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? Seeing none, roll call vote. Patty Adams. Katie Childs.
Aye.
Jack
Aye.
Rabbit.
Aye.
Sorry, I couldn't unmute.
Patty Adams was an aye.
Yes, aye.
Okay. Katie was an aye. Jack Rabbit.
Mm.
Aye.
Jeff Viviano.
Aye.
Mike LaRouche.
Aye.
And I for myself. All right, Matt will issue that order of conditions for you.
Okay, thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you, gentlemen.
Okay, have a good night.
You too. Moving forward, pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 is amended, and the Lunenburg Wetland Bylaw and Regulations is listed in Chapter 239. The Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on a notice of intent by Fitchburg Land Property Owner LLC to construct a 367,000 square foot warehouse and distribution center with parking and stormwater controls at 260 Falula Road in Lunenburg. Matt has informed me that they are looking to continue this hearing. Matt, what is the first hearing in June? I'm looking at the first. Okay, as we do have this open, I know we had discussed with the applicants at the last meeting, and I believe I had discussed it briefly with you about opening up a 53G review of the property. Have you had a chance to talk with Adam about the possibility of having Graves review this from the wetland protection standpoint?
Yeah, I'll check on the progress of that tomorrow.
Okay. Super deal. Moving forward, I'll accept a motion to continue this hearing until June 1st.
So moved.
Motion by Mike,
Second.
Second,
second by Patty. Roll call vote. Patty Adams,
aye.
Katie Childs,
Aye.
Jack Rabbit,
Aye.
Jeff Viviano,
Aye.
Mike LaRouche,
Aye.
and I for myself. Moving forward, pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 is amended, and the Lunenburg Wetland Bylaw and Regulations is listed in Chapter 239. Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on a request for determination by Jason Zirkle for landscaping and regrading a 20 by 25 foot section of front yard, removal of a 14 by 20 foot section of driveway to be replaced with a stormwater control feature, replace a section of driveway with new pavement, and placement of a vinyl siding on the garage at 379 Townsend Harbor Road. Do we have the applicant present?
Yes, this is Jason.
Okay. Just describe quick. I think we had kind of left it. You were going to do some work and provide some more documentation on the drainage feature and a couple other items on the property.
Yes, sir. We were requested for the setbacks for the 30 and 50 foot from the water's edge.
Okay.
That paperwork was submitted, and then there was a drawing of the pit or the drainage catch, you know, that was also submitted just for what it's going to look like.
All right. Is that what was submitted?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I do see a 30 and a 50 foot buffer marked in there.
Yep.
Removing a section of blacktop there under the
Yep. Right in-
0.32 AC,
Yep.
this section right here.
Yes, sir. That section is being removed. And then the kind of the highlighted section that's adjacent to that at almost a 90-degree, that is where the addition of the pit is.
Okay.
And then as you can see, they're clearly outside of the 50-foot buffer zone.
Mhm.
And then, the whole middle section there, and then the highlighted areas at the top was, a couple of feet added down there by the house just to get past where the edge of the step was. And then, up near the top where the 75 is, up at the edge of the road, there was a 6-foot addition there to accommodate a second vehicle for parking without blocking where it drives down, the complete side to the house.
Okay,
And then the second page that was submitted was of the actual drainage pit, I guess.
do we have a second page, Matt?
Yeah, these are all from the original. There was a second page submitted. that
Let me
just-
double check the file, Rich, and see what I got.
Okay,
If you could scroll down a little bit. Keep going. All right. Yeah, at the top of that page, it's kind of a description of what the pit is going to be. At the top of there is, that's the install the drainage area. There was a second page that I had submitted with the updated, buffer zone pages that just kind of showed, the pit's 4 feet deep by 4 foot wide, the full width of that driveway area, filled up with some stone to try to catch some of this stormwater that you see running down through there.
Rich, I got it. Just give me a minute to upload.
okay, and it's gonna go from the house out to the edge of to the garage, basically,
Yes, sir.
okay? And you're just vinyl siding this garage here?
Yes, sir. And
Okay.
the little shed that's up there, that's also number 4, just vinyl
Okay.
sided as well to match.
Okay, no roof work, no drainage work, no digging, just putting vinyl siding on it?
The shed up at the top there does have a lot of moss on it. I would like to replace the shingles. I don't think they need to actually be removed. It just should be able to go right over the top of them.
Okay. Yeah, as long as you're not doing any groundwork,
No, sir.
you really don't need any approval from us for siding the house or putting a roof on it, or replacing the roof that's there.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay, the only part that I personally have a little bit of a problem with is this berm that's redirecting the water flow from Townsend Harbor.
Okay,
I personally, as one member might suggest, trying to talk with the DPW just to make sure that we're not moving that water to some other place that's going to cause a problem.
okay, yes, yeah. Somebody else had mentioned also, talking to DPW about that, adding a berm there or something. I know when they just repaved Townsend Harbor Road all the way through, there was several areas where they added stuff like that onto other people's property. I was
Mhm.
just hoping, once we get the driveway replaced, about getting that. I didn't want them to add it now on the existing driveway where it's going to be removed.
Yeah,
Rich, on the cloud, I just uploaded a file that says trench. That was the second page.
okay.
Yes.
I don't think I can rotate this. I can't. What the? All right.
Try right-clicking on it, Richard. That might help.
Yeah, unfortunately. Without opening it, I'm not, but I mean, it's pretty straightforward. The dimension's gonna be 42 inches by 48 inches, filled with stone,
Yeah, it's 48 by
geotextile
48.
fabric on 3 sides to keep it from the soil from infiltrating.
Yes, sir.
So.
Yeah.
And there will be no outflow from the trench. The trench is just to allow percolation into the soil.
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right, any questions or comments from commissioners at this point?
Good.
Let me just pop back here, see if we got any hands.
Mr. Chairman, this is Jeff. I just had one question.
Yeah, go ahead, Jeff.
If you go back to the pictures where he wants to put that, I guess that little swale in by the house, is that where those red bricks are?
Let me just pop back here.
So it's kind of a split shot of the backyard. Yeah, right there. Is
This
that where
area-
you're intending to put that swale in by those, like where the bricks are?
No, sir. This area here is just where we had petitioned to have this
Okay,
replace the couple of extra feet of asphalt to get out past where those stairs are right there. And then that front yard replace area was actually just some turf put down
I gotcha. Okay,
areas. That's where my septic system is, and it's just all sand, so there's no grass growing. So we were just gonna roll out some turf just to make it look decent compared to what's there.
okay.
Yeah, I
Those
saw
are-
the turf today when I was out on site with Nadia. I was just wondering what that was for.
That's for that area there, sir. There's two rolls of turf there.
And this is where you're putting it?
Yes.
Okay,
All right, thanks, Mr. Chairman.
you're welcome, Jeff. Okay, any other questions or comments from commissioners? All right, seeing none. Matt, did you and Nadia have anything to add where you were out on site today?
I don't really have anything to add. I just kind of noted that, I noted the turf and I was just wondering about it and he already answered the question.
Okay. Moving forward, any questions or comments from the public? I have RJ. If you unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, this is Robin Jacobs, the abutter at 372. And I'm really happy to see some of our concerns being addressed here with the berm and the pit. I understand that they're saying there'll be no outflow from the pit. Was any kind of study done on that, or how do we know? Well, maybe I'll just continue on with my questions. And I had sent a video in the last time, and apparently some of the members didn't get a chance to look at it. And that video was of the curtain of water coming off the roof. And I was wondering if, maybe there'd be a simpler way for the homeowners to address some of the water issue by maybe just simply putting up gutters and redirecting it. And then down below where they're putting in that pit, currently that's like a graded base, which the water doesn't seep into. Maybe that could be, and then there's like a tarp underneath that. I remember when the former owner put that in. We've been in the house for almost 30 years, so we've seen a lot of what's gone on. Actually, the original owners of 379 owned our property as well. And we were just wondering if that graded base and that material underneath it could be removed and just put something, maybe grass or sand, something that would more absorb some of the water. We're just concerned about protecting our property because, as you're aware, if you went down and you did the review, you can see that my husband has dug a pit to protect our property as it kept getting washed away. And that's kind of been a temporary fix, but it's dangerous. Somebody could trip and fall in that pit.
Mr. Chairman, if we could also note that pit they dug was within the 30 feet mark, and I don't believe there was a permit pulled for that.
All right, and where is the pit, Jack? Is it on?
It's running, actually, it's not on the property that we're discussing. It's basically, if you to follow that about the 30 foot, and it runs basically down towards the lake. In fact, one of the pictures you'd be able to see that. And so I was kind of interested in that, but I haven't really pursued it. But if you take a look, Mr. Chairman, keep going. I believe you can see part of that pit right there by the dock area. He's dug quite a bit of a trench all the way down through. And yeah, I thought, oh, that's interesting. Somebody's going to have had a couple of drinks and go and trip it over. But
Exactly.
yeah, well, exactly. And I thought, okay, this is not on the property that we're looking at, but I noticed that it was a disturbed area within our no touch. So I was just wondering, what were the plans to accommodate for the overflow in that area from your perspective? Because the water's going to go someplace, as our chairman pointed out last meeting.
So the trench is not on the applicant's property.
That's correct.
Okay,
I didn't go any further with it.
all right. So at this point, unless we took action against the neighbor's property, the applicant can't do anything on the neighbor's property to address the trench. Is that what I'm gathering?
Yeah, that would be correct. The water is flowing off that hill. If you look at the whole topography of the area, you've got a pretty steep decline. I'm betting it's a good 10 feet from the height of the road down to that area. So you're pulling water in no matter what. And so if, I did watch the video with the water pouring, sheeting off the roof of the applicant's house. And so where are you going to put it? You're going to end up digging another trench, or you're going to end up putting a dry well over it. It's just essentially what they've done. So my feeling is, let's see how it holds up. Let's see what it really does. And you're always going to have rain events that do require additional flow. And again, with regard to the trench, I didn't, as I said, I didn't go on the property. I didn't explore it, but I think that if that's going to continue to exist, there should be some sort of a rain garden or something at the end of that trench. Otherwise, it's going to continue to, it's going to turn into a ravine and carry a lot of soil into the lake. So my feeling is that since the neighbor has introduced the topic, I think you need to be thinking about some sort of a rain garden to capture all that water. Does any of it stand? It seems like it's all sand, Robin. Is it Robin? I'm sorry, I didn't catch that.
Yes, it is, Robin.
Yeah, Robin. I'm thinking all that stuff disappears pretty quickly. And by pulling back on that tar that he was doing and dumping that on the trench, well, most of that's going to go away. But as you'll note, you're pulling a lot of water in off the street, and you're also pulling a lot of, just water from everywhere when we have a deluge. So I'm viewing the street as the bigger contributor versus their roof. And I thought with the well that they put in, they would probably capture most of that, and before it got to your property line. So that was my thoughts at the time.
My concern there is that the problem doesn't get worse. The trench was a temporary fix, so our beach would stop getting washed away. And there actually was a fence up there, and the applicant actually has removed that fence. So we could put the fence back up to protect that trench.
Yeah, I'm just worried about the water that's going through. And if you're going to get water moving off of that volume, especially coming down that driveway off that street, you're going to end up with a ravine.
Right.
You're going to end up dumping a pile of sand into that lake section. And I'm saying, you might need a couple of water gardens just to slow it down.
Yeah. And well, we were thinking maybe some arborvitaes or something would.
Sure.
We'd be happy to do that.
Yeah.
We're just happy to see, the problem getting fixed and our sand stopping, being washed into the lake, and make everybody's life better.
Yeah. And then keep our lake better.
Yeah.
I live on your lake too. I'm down the street. So
yes.
All right. So Jack, are you proposing that the neighbor submit an RDA to put a couple rain gardens in along that trench?
If it's needed. I'm wondering with the protections they're putting in, it may not be, but play it by ear. And Robin, if your intent, if it stops, to slow down, and then you fill your trench in so nobody trips into it. And if as long as it's not, I would wait. I wouldn't make anybody do anything different, but it sounds like, Robin, your intention is if it works, you're going to fill it all in, right?
Exactly, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes. And,
So-
and we'd be happy to put some arborvitae's in. There's no problem with that.
Oh, yeah. And so
Okay.
I just think that if it's continued, put a couple rain gardens in there and then come in with an RDA to put the gardens in.
Yeah, any digging will have to have an RDA submitted. If they're just putting some shrubs in, that's fine. But if they're gonna try to put a rain garden in and some other sorts of stormwater measures, they definitely need an RDA to be submitted. Thank you, Jack. Matt, you have your hand up?
Yeah, it just begs the question now. Did we want to consider perhaps changing the proposed trench to a rain garden, or would that just be too superfluous for what the solution is?
It's another owner, Matt. It's another piece of property. So we
No,
have
I'm talking about the trench that the Zirkles are proposing. I mean, we're talking about absorption of runoff. And there is a trench proposed, and the drawing looks good. It may work.
The only problem with that, Matt, is the trench is going to be full of stone. And I think you're going to get more percolation in the soil with a 4x4 stone-filled trench than you would be with a depressed water rain garden.
Yep.
Yep, and that's fine. That's why I just wanted to raise the issue. But again, yeah, what you're saying makes sense.
Yep. So, all right. RJ?
Yeah, I just had one more question. I'm sorry for my ignorance here, but I'm not sure what this RDA is.
It's an application to have us review any work that you're looking to do within 100 feet of the wetland.
Okay, and that is not required for arborvitae's or shrubs.
Just for the planting, no. If you're doing any sort of grading or disturbing of the area that's not disturbed along the trench, you would have to file for it. Yes.
Okay, that sounds really good. And just one other question is, in the picture that you have up right now, you can see where the water is running, off of their driveway and then over to the trench that we had dug. If you look to the right of that, the property goes a little bit uphill. This is where I was talking about where they could maybe remove that paper and whatever that stuff is called, the graded base, and put sand in there. That's a little bit uphill. So if maybe they could downgrade that, that might help too with some of that runoff.
Jason, are you open to that idea?
If we could redirect the water that way, I mean, that area over there is well within the 30-foot range. And I mean, yes, there is a big knoll in the middle of the yard right there. I mean, that would have to come down at least like 3 to 4 feet right there, maybe to, redirect the water to a different.
Right. Rich, I did take a look at, when we came back, I looked at the topography available through the assessor's office, and he does have a knoll that basically turns the water probably in the middle of your backyard, and it does rise up, and it causes that water to push in exactly in that direction you're seeing right now.
Yeah, I mean, it would be, you'd have to take a considerable amount of that knoll out of there to redirect the water to a different area, and then you're just, instead of running it through the neighbor's yard, then it's just gonna, continue to run through my yard. And it's still, that whole end over there is all lake and cove and.
Right.
The proposed trench, I mean, right now there's nothing there. So if this trench seems to be the issue, I mean, I hate to eliminate it because I'm assuming it's going to catch a lot of this runoff and create, slow down the erosion that's occurring here. But,
And plus you're pulling the, aren't you also taking some of the blacktop that's going downhill and removing that as well? Jason,
Yes.
Is that what you were saying?
Yeah,
And-
there's almost a 300 square foot area of blacktop being removed.
Right. And
Okay.
plus you put in the other piece. So you're adding more percolation
Yes.
capability there.
All right,
And
so at
again-
this point, it sounds like redirecting the water, as your neighbor was asking, maybe a little bit above what we're looking to do at this point, so.
Yeah, there would be.
Let's see where we're at with the improvements that you have submitted for and go from there.
Yeah.
Thank
And
you.
it definitely, what changes that I see anyways are an improvement to the area, so. I
Yeah.
don't see anything other than, talk to the DPW before you install any berms or redirect the water from the street.
Okay, yes, sir.
That's the
Okay.
primary problem. We're pulling.
And go ahead, RJ.
Yeah, sorry, just, let me make sure I'm unmuted here. Just one further question. Should it get worse? I mean, we've been controlling it like with the way we have. Should it get worse? How are we protected?
You'd have to, I don't know.
That's our concern.
Mhm. Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
that
hear,
is
I
above
hear
my
the-
pay grade. at
yeah,
this point.
I hear the applicant saying he doesn't want to, move that knoll down because it would keep the water on his property. But it's his water that's currently on our property.
Yeah, unfortunately, at this point, we can't force him to do any more than he's applied for,
Okay.
so.
The other thing is, does the town have an outflow close by?
No, there is not. There's
No.
no.
So you're kind of stuck.
Yeah.
Or the town is stuck in a lot of areas like that. And, since there's no other outflow to attach to, are you gonna put another storm drain in? Should we ask the town to put a storm drain in? And
All
because
right,
it's coming off the road.
Yeah.
okay, so moving forward at this point, are there any other questions from commissioners? Please raise your hand. Seeing none, any other questions from the public? All right, seeing none, I'll accept the motion for a negative determination at 379 Townsend Harbor Road.
So
So
moved.
moved.
Okay.
Second.
Motion by Jack, second by Patty, roll call vote. Patricia Adams,
Aye.
Katie Childs,
Aye.
Jack Rabbit,
Aye.
Jeff Viviano, Mike LaRouche, and I for myself, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. All right.
That was an aye for me,
Oh,
Rich.
what'd you vote? Aye,
I voted aye.
okay,
Jeff's still muted.
okay,
I'm sorry, I voted aye. If I cut
all
out
right,
there.
so 6 ayes. Thank you very much, Jason.
Thank you very much. Have a
Good
good-
luck on it now, Jason. Tell us how it turns out.
Thank you. I will.
All right, moving forward
too, Rob.
pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40 is amended, and Lunenburg Wetland Bylaw and Regulations is listed in Chapter 239. The Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on a request for determination by David Blatt for the removal of trees at 411 Goodrich Street. Do we have somebody here for 411 Goodrich Street? I'm seeing no hands. Matt, have we heard from Mr. Blatt? I believe
In
he
an
was,
email exchange he and I have not received any other communication, so I don't know where you guys want me to go with this.
okay. Well, at this point,
Didn't we, Mr. Chairman?
go ahead, Mr. Rabbit.
Thank you, sir. We did go out and look at the property, and I think we had some concerns, even about the work that had been done, but we haven't discussed it, of course.
Okay, well, at this point, we'll continue this, and if you feel that it is a warrant of a violation, we can bring it up under violations section of our agenda.
For me, primarily questions.
Okay. Any other questions on 411 Goodrich Street? As the applicant's not here, I'll accept the motion to continue to June 1st.
So moved.
So moved.
We have a motion by Mike,
Second.
second by Jeff. Roll call vote. Patty Adams,
Aye.
Katie Childs,
Aye.
Jack Rabbit,
Aye.
Jeff Viviano,
Aye.
Mike LaRouche,
Aye.
and I for myself. All right, moving forward pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Lunenburg Wetland Bylaw and Regulations is listed in Chapter 239, the Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing on a request for determination by John Welton for the construction of stairs, a landing, and a dock within a 100-foot buffer zone at 205 Sunset Lane. Is somebody here for Mr. Welton?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay. And this is continued. Why did this get continued, Matt? I was not present when it was discussed at the last hearing.
Well, it got continued for the commission to potentially walk the site and take a further look at the trees, but the only commissioner that showed up was our associate, Mr. Tremblay, which I did escort him to the site. I've also showed Nadia the site as well. I mean, from my standpoint, I don't have a problem with the work he's proposing. The only thing in my checking with the endangered species program, because he is doing some vegetation removal, even though it's minor, he should file with them for a request for an advisory opinion on it. I don't see like it's going to trigger any thresholds from them, but it needs to be done based on current regulation.
Okay. How do I go about doing that? Matt?
John, I can guide you through that
Yeah,
process.
if Mr. Welton, if you can contact Matt in the office tomorrow, he can direct you further.
Okay.
All right. So at this point, unless there's questions from commissioners or public on 205 Sunset Lane, I'll accept a motion for a continuance with the permission of the applicant until June 1st.
So moved.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second from Patty. Roll call vote. Patty Adams,
Aye.
Katie Childs,
Aye.
Jack Rabbit,
Aye.
Joe Viviano,
Aye.
Mike LaRouche,
Aye.
and I for myself. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for your time.
All right, moving forward, old business. Updates on encroachment. Do you want to bring us up to date, Matt? If there's anything that we need to go over this evening?
Well, we do need to go over Mr. Coturnia's property. He's part of that issue. And you guys did ask me as part of his original hearing to go out and review the maps that he provided to ensure that everything was accurate and review the scope of work. So I did go on site with Mr. Coturnia, and I went out on site with Matt Proctor, reviewed the boundaries and reviewed the scope of work proposed. He's got everything extremely well marked out on site. I think his proposal and the drawings that he provided were adequate. And I do think that, his work will wind up satisfying the requirements. If I remember correctly, and Jack, you can, Jack Coturnia, you can chime in if I'm in error. The first section of the driveway where the driveway portion is being removed, there was a stone retaining wall that acted like a curbing out on the roadway. And he asked to be able to leave that in there, even though it's not going to function as part of his property anymore, and there will have no functionality to it other than to ensure that the area off the road going into the adjacent wetland would actually still remain stable. I find that actually to be reasonable in the approach. The wall is quite elaborate. It's closer to the wetland, and I'm just concerned that removing it could cause some disturbances. So leaving it in there and leaving it as a stabilizing factor isn't unreasonable. So at this point, it's up to the commission on how it wants to proceed.
Is the wall on the applicant's property or is the wall on town property, Matt?
No, it's on the commission property.
Okay.
It's right off the roadway, Rich.
All right. And how much of the wall is he asking to leave?
Well, the dimensions are roughly 20 feet along Townsend Harbor Road and 20 feet down the existing driveway. Okay, that's on conservation property. I suggest leaving it there. Reason why I say that, this is a follow-up, okay, on Jack Rabbit's request to take a look at that few meetings ago. Any kind of a severe storm, I'm afraid would actually cause a lot of erosion as the water comes down the roads. Okay, especially now, the road has just been recently paved, okay, you know, final pavement, blacktop. And there was a berm, maybe a 3-4 inch berm from the top of the hill going up towards Mass Ave, okay, down to, you know, the lower section, which is fairly close to where my property is. So there would be additional water coming down the street, and good chance a lot of that is going to run down where that wall is, if it was to be removed.
Okay, so it's this section here, Jack, that you're looking to leave?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
You
And
know, I'll take it down. I have no problem taking it down or leaving it there. I would recommend just leaving it there.
all right, and what are we doing with the area where the blacktop was? We're gonna loam and seed it?
Yeah.
Okay, so the wall will just stay there with the lawn around it?
Yeah, you know, looks good. Okay, there's no erosion there whatsoever.
Mhm.
Matter of fact, there's a half a dozen small seedlings that I planted a few years ago, holly bushes, and they seem to be growing
Okay.
down
Well,
towards the water.
For myself, if our agent does not have a problem with leaving it and it will help with the erosion, I have no problem leaving it.
Yeah, I'll go either way, you know, based on your determination.
Okay. Any other questions from commissioners? Please raise your hand. Any questions from the public on 192 Townsend Harbor Road? All right. So this is not an RDA. We're doing this under a enforcement order, Matt?
Well, there was an RDA originally issued, but it's also an enforcement action. So you could put the RDA on and close it out to vote. You guys asked me out, or, you know, asked me to go out and look at it, which I did. Or you can close it out right now under enforcement. Either way is valid to do.
All right.
Because
I
it is
would be in
documented,
favor of,
it is documented by town council as well.
okay, I would be in favor of closing it out at this point, accepting the remediation plan under enforcement.
So
I'll
moved.
accept a motion to that. Jack Rabbit motion.
Second.
Second, Mike LaRouche. Any other discussion?
With the addition that the small wall remain there. I don't know if it's still in the original drawings or I don't know, Rich. I mean,
Well, this is the drawing that I have
it-
on the cloud right now, and it is showing leave block
leave the
for
wall.
erosion
Okay, there
problem.
we go. Then we're fine.
Okay,
No
But
men-
just so you guys know, before you finish your vote, under discussion, I would report this to town council because I have to update Bob and town council on a regular basis once we do have these actions. So town council would memorialize it in a letter to Mr. Caternia, you know, what the agreed remediation is. So there
Okay.
would be documentation to that effect.
all right, great. So your motion is second. Any other discussion?
I have one more question.
Yes, Jack.
Matt, I can go ahead and get a hold of Matt Proctor now and have him do it as soon as possible.
Yeah, I'll review the scope again with Matt and
Okay.
take care of it with him.
Okay, 'cause I know you're retiring in a couple of weeks, so just want to make sure all the loose ends were tied and all set to go.
Well, Jack, don't worry. We've got Nadia here, and believe me, I'm leaving this post in some very capable hands.
That sounds great to me.
All right, super. We have a motion and a second before us. Roll call vote. Patty Adams,
Aye.
Katie Childs,
Aye.
Jack Rabbit,
Aye.
Jeff Viviano,
Aye.
Mike LaRouche,
Aye.
and I for myself. Thank you for bringing this forward, Jack, and presenting it and cleaning that area up. Greatly appreciated.
And, you know, thank you for all your time and all your suggestions, and all your work.
Have a great evening.
Thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
All right, Matt, moving forward on encroachment 214.
Okay, so there's only one address, and I apologize, I forget which one that hasn't responded. All the other addresses have basically pledged to remove all the materials, and most of it was just detritus materials of storage. Everything's being removed off-site, and the commission is going to be updated with follow-ups as is. The other one that hasn't responded, and again, I apologize, I can't remember which one it was. I have it in the I'm going to be sending to town council for secondary action at this point. So essentially, we should have further updates coming for the next meeting because that was the deadline, was the end of the month.
Updates on maintenance work at Hollis Road, Matt?
We're still working to try to get people out there to do bids on replacing the windows. I believe Bob had a couple of leads he was pursuing. I'll review that with Bob over the course of the next week.
All right, great. Moving on to violations. 238 Fire Road 16.
We do have the McGurns here. I'm assuming we can start with them.
Okay, I believe I was not present at the last meeting unless something was discussed. Do we have a plan of the current site conditions and remediations proposed?
Brendan Ross sent that out 2 weeks ago, yesterday, in fact.
Should be on the cloud bridge.
All right, let me just bring this up. Does this look like it?
Does.
Okay. So just walk us through this. I've been on site. I'm not sure who else has. Butch, if you just describe
Sure.
what we've got here.
I do have Brandon from Ross Associates. He is on. I think he's on mute right now.
Oh, and he should be able to unmute himself.
Okay. So if he's still muted and he's unresponsive right now, I'll just walk you through what we did, Rich. Per your direction, the commission's direction, we had everything retopoed. We had everything, all the erosion controls were reset, and the ones that were compromised were left in place. We have shut down the site going on a month now, I believe thereabouts. I can't say verbatim, but it's roughly a month now. We've indicated where the dead stumps were that you asked for personally, Rich. We've also included the bridge in itself, where it did get in fact widened inadvertently and by mistake. I didn't even realize it until Mr. Brandon actually indicated it in the last meeting. The replantings have been established with the new trees and plant list, and the banks have been removed of the riprap, and they're going to be revegetated with I'm sure with the proposed plantings, and it's going to be stabilized with jute matting in lieu of the riprap that I put down.
Apologize for that.
No worries, Rich.
All right, I do have this area over here. Do we have any remediation plans for this part of your violation?
I honestly, Rich, I didn't think there was a violation back there.
Okay,
I think north of that was the area that you and I were talking about when I actually emailed you and I said that you were correct in the 20-foot. That would be north of that where the new trees are being planted right up in that cursor area.
okay. I thought this bumped out a little bit more. I could be
It lit
mistaken.
A foot, Rich.
Okay,
You can see the two lines that you're on.
okay, so they do come together here.
Yes.
Okay. So at this point, you're proposing to not put the grade back out here in the backyard that was taken out?
That is the way that is this drawing is indicated. Yes.
Okay. And did Ross happen to present a narrative as to the extents of the violations? I mean, it's a little hard to see it with all of the stuff on here, to compare what we have to what was approved.
I think other than what you see here, Rich, is the only thing that he's prepared. However, if you brought the plan back a little bit, he did prepare a remediation area that would actually, is not, I think I'm using the wrong term, where actually, I forget the word, it's on the left-hand side here. He actually did the calculations for the area for the floodplain, which is on here.
Which I
There
think
is an
what you're saying
as-built,
is the
Rich.
alterations are outlined in the plan details.
I think what you're looking for, you'll see on the as-built, Rich. That's another plan.
Okay. Here we go.
So you can see in the shaded area where the bridge was proposed and where the bridge is now.
Mhm.
I think that's what you were questioning. Not sure.
Well, there was quite a bit of violation besides just the driveway, Jeff. There was all the grading over here on the northwest side. And there was grading and intrusion over here on the easterly side as well. And
Yeah, so
here
then you
on the
have to go to
southerly
the-
side. So I
Then
just
you have to
wanted
go
to
to
see.
the approved plan has all, that's another plan if you wanted to, yeah. That has all the original grading. There you go.
Yeah, so our grading violated here, up
Yeah.
here, and took this whole berm out here.
Exactly.
And at this point, there's no walkway, I don't believe, out to the water here that was approved.
Sorry, Mr. Commissioner, can I comment on that?
Certainly.
So that was one of the things that we last left off last year when this plan was approved, with the verbiage that we still have to present a dock and the access way to the lake.
Okay.
So in the new plan, that's what has been presented on the access to the lake.
Okay. Personally, I'd like to just take these one step at a time with the violations, and then you can come back with the plan for any access or anything else you're looking for, once we get the remediation agreed upon.
Fair.
So, because at this point, I myself, and I think I expressed this to you when I was out on site with you, Butch, I have no problem with exactly what was approved.
Mhm.
I would not be in favor of any additional grading and any areas that were violated outside of the envelope should be remediated, as was the conditions prior to construction. But again, that's just my own.
Yeah. So I think, if I may, I think what I would, obviously, I have no problem putting the berm back in on your left-hand side of your cursor, in that area there.
Mhm.
I think the biggest concern with that is the stability of that new bank with the new materials and trying to hold that from migrating, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
And any tree plantings that was just proposed would have a hard time growing on a new bank. But I'm willing to do, I'm willing to be open to that as well, Rich.
Okay.
And then
I-
everything else would be essentially back in order anyways. It's been, if you go, let me see, south of the garage or per se garage, that has been regraded when you were there, when I took the riprap out. So
Yeah, this area right here,
now up north, further.
this area right here and here.
Yeah,
Yep.
so that's back to as per plan.
Okay. Yeah, because our limit of work was up here and we basically filled and graded right down to the edge of wet in through here.
Yeah,
so.
well, that was all caused by the large excavator that fell into the lake, into the abyss over there. I had to get it out.
So, all right, I'll open it up to other commissioners. I see, we'll start with Matt has his hand up.
Matt, you're on mute.
Matthew?
Yeah, sorry, I had to step out of the room for a second. The only other, one of the other issues I wanted to raise, in the area where, I don't, if you could pull up the other plans, Rich, the planting ones. Yep, that's the one. Thank you. So, the planting plans look good. They have some positives to them. The only thing I would recommend is in the area where you have wetland flag 20-208 over on the left-hand side, that one right there. The plantings that are suggested there appear to be low bush blueberry. And if I recall correctly, there was a lot denser and higher, shall I say, shrubs that were greater in height than low bush blueberry. Low bush blueberry makes a great ground cover for a hillside stabilization. But there were other shrubberies there that provided more of a natural shading to the area. Low bush blueberry won't accomplish that. So, I mean, you could scatter some low bush blueberry in, but I think that portion of the planting needs to be adjusted to have more hardier plants and maybe add a couple of extra trees in there as well. The vast majority of the other plantings look pretty decent.
So would you recommend, Matt, putting another to the left of the existing tree bank there? One more tree there? Is that what you're recommending?
Well, I'm recommending a lot more than one, but I would take this back to Brian Butler and have him draw something that's conducive to better cover, something that grows a little higher, and something that's going to be more in line with the habitat.
I know there's a question, and there's a contentious feeling to that whole lakeside there. I mean, we have a difference of opinion what was removed and what wasn't over there. There was one blueberry bush that was taken down, and I took that down before I even owned the property 2 years ago, and that was at the entrance there. I know that people are saying that there was higher trees and such there, but that's not.
There was not.
There wasn't. What
There
I did
wasn't.
take down was the pine tree that was approved on a walkthrough.
That one big pine tree, that's what really came down. The rest was all just weeds and.
Yeah, they were
there's
all
nothing there that
blueberry
was Any
bushes.
kind of substance of a tree.
And if you would like to, I would be happy to bring up pictures before I even bought the property, which would clearly show you what was there.
And most of you know that have been out here on the lake, that was just, everybody would pull their boats in there and walk out on it was like a boat path. I mean, it was a large cart path there to the side of that tree. And then you had all the pavement going up to the concrete slabs. There was a lot of impervious area. I actually took a complete video of the whole property prior to us taking any trees down or anything.
The gravel access path has always been there. That's been
Yeah.
there since probably before we were all kids. That's been there for forever. To the left, coming from the lakeside into the property, there was one high bush blueberry. And actually, if you were to even walk the site, you could actually, and I told you this, you could even see the stumps that were cut. So there was probably a good sized bush, I'm gonna say, I don't know, 5 stalks.
Even still. it's
So
still a bunch
at
of
at this
trees.
point, Butch, I'm gonna stop you because unfortunately, the violation in that area has regraded the entire site. So what was there, what we think was there, what we're arguing was there is kind of moot at this point. It's a violation and the commission's gonna decide
Fair,
how to handle the violation and what to put back.
fair, that's
I-
fair.
So there's absolutely no sense arguing about it any further.
Yeah.
I mean,
Fair.
the tree took out, the tree didn't take out. We didn't have to regrade,
Fair.
5,000 square feet because of one pine tree. So
Fair.
we need to move on from that argument at this point. So
Agreed, Rich.
All right. I'm gonna move forward. Jack Rabbit had his hand up first.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll lower my hand. Okay, to start off with, first of all, Rich, I'm in total agreement with you with regard and in terms of reestablishing that area was originally approved. I would also like to point out that along the lakefront, the vegetation was removed, and we'd like to see that all replanted. Butch, I would love to sit down with you and compare your pictures to our pictures with regard to the size of the trees that were there.
Mhm.
And we have numerous examples where they were. I am not in favor of any kind of low bush blueberry. I do like your definition of a tree. It's basically at chest high, it's 2 inches and goes up to 14 feet. I would like to see that all revegetated. Forget the low bush blueberry, unless you need it to hold the soil, but I would like to see it returned to its original state. At the same time, if we were to move a little bit further, I would like us to get into the discussion with regard to the entire driveway. And the driveway, meaning that I would like to see the trees that were removed, because remember, this is an environmentally sensitive area, a large habitat. And as Patty, I believe you saw the presentation, I don't know if the other pieces, but this is a sensitive area. And I would like to see more trees along that driveway all the way to the front. I feel bad for you in terms of the bridge being larger than it needed to be. And I'm still in the law says clearly that whatever got approved is what's supposed to go in there. I haven't come down on whether or not that bridge is too large, but I would like to see a lot of that revegetated. I would also like to point out that there were a number of trees taken outside of that 50 that probably should be replaced. And I have pictures to go along with that. So right now, I'm take it back to the original plan, forget the low bush, go with the big trees and protect that whole area. So, and again, Butch, I would love to compare your pictures to see where I might have gone wrong or where our differences are. And even in that little dry area, that well area, there were a number of trees in there, and that path, I think your designer shared a picture a couple meetings ago. It shows that was a small pathway all the way and heavily treed. So I don't understand how that can be compared to where we are right now. So I had Matt, I've given you 3 of them, and I've completed the last one was a full analysis of what had happened. I'm just saying, let's see a new drawing and let's see real trees, and let's forget about the blueberry bushes and fully restore that entire area all the way down to the water. So that's where I will vote. I'm sorry.
Trees that were allowed in the area, and this has just gotten ridiculous.
Yeah.
Well, Joanne, personally, I am amazed that someone who builds large buildings would allow these many changes to occur without even trying to talk to us. I believe, Butch, you shared that you were a professional building towers in Boston. Is that what you said to us?
That were taken down were all within the approval.
Okay.
Except
Uh,
for one big pine tree, which was.
Yeah,
approved
one tree. I can show you a lot more in your video. So I don't think we're going to get any further, Mr. Chairman, but right now I would not vote for accepting this remediation plan at all. And I would look for you to essentially show the rest of the drawings and show us what you're going to do to fix that driveway. It's all of a sudden it's become a highway. It isn't a 10-foot by 2 feet on each side. It's not even close to that. And I don't know why you did it, especially when we talked about that. And you were
All right,
going to
Jack,
go along with anything.
Jack,
So,
Jack,
okay,
just stay
I'm
on
sorry.
task.
I'll stop. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Has your engineer signed on yet, Butch?
Yes, I'm here. Yeah.
Okay, Brandon. Mr. Rabbit did bring up a point about the rest of the driveway. Was the rest of the driveway constructed as approved in the order of conditions?
So in terms of, we did an as-built survey from the existing garage to the house. So is the question pertaining to kind of south of the existing garage?
I believe we had asked for an as-built of the site. So the site would start where the driveway starts and comes out to the end of the peninsula here where the house is.
Okay. Obviously not being on, I was on last week's meeting that was very late, but prior to that, we were not on the hearing. So our directive, what we did is we located the as-built driveway from the existing garage there to the house, and we also picked up a couple of, there was a electric transformer, some bollards, and some features like that. The rest of the driveway is pretty much, right exactly was shown in the approved plan, but we do
So
not have an as-built.
you're stating that the driveway is constructed as was approved in the order of conditions, or you'll need to produce the as-built to prove that?
Yeah, we would obviously have to show that on an as-built plan.
Okay.
So.
Mr. Commissioner.
Yeah, because there were, and I did mention this too when I was out on site, there's quite a few construction items that weren't on the plan as far as light poles and bollards and so.
Correct, yeah. So what we try to do is we try to pick up all those features to present them to you.
Okay. And we'll go through the rest of the commissioners. I myself would like to see the entire as-built for the site. Just going over this quick, it looks like you did do some calculations on the expanded crossing.
Yes, yep. So
it looks like we filled about another 985 square feet of floodplain.
I think it was less than that, but
Okay.
yeah.
What was this figure right here?
So that's what it is as built.
Okay.
So obviously, if you look at the approved plan, it's more than that, but it wasn't significantly more.
It's 394 cubic feet of space. That is literally a pickup load.
I want to say, and again, this is my memory on the approved plan, I think it was like 279 on the approved plan.
Okay.
So in terms of as-built,
394 cubic feet.
Yeah.
There's the volume that was filled.
Correct.
So
Yeah.
who said that was a pickup truck load?
I did.
Okay. So what kind of pickup truck do you have that's gonna carry 15 cubic yards of fill?
15, it would be.
It says 394 cubic feet and there's 27 cubic feet in a cubic yard.
Okay, that's 14 yards.
Yep.
Okay.
So just
One ton.
mentioning that it's not a pickup truck load.
It's a 1 ton,
It's a 1-ton truck load.
No, it's not a 1-ton, it's a triaxle, but
the triaxle, yeah.
there you go. Okay.
So
this is your calculations, Brandon?
Yes, yep. So what we did is we went in and we looked at, based on what we did, a topo all through that area, and we did a volume calc between what was previously existing conditions versus what it is today. And obviously with the addition of a few feet on the westerly side there, it attributed to a little bit larger volume within that floodplain.
Okay, the
Yeah.
390, so 394 cubic feet is the additional?
No, so that's the total. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, so would,
So if you know, obviously subtract what we had shown on the approved plan from that
Okay.
number, that's what you'll see what the additional is. So,
okay.
so right
and-
there, it's right below. It says as-built driveway, if you just go below, as-built driveway resulted in an additional 122 cubic yards within the floodplain.
Okay, and where did we make up for that on the remediation plan?
So there's been no flood compensation calcs as far as, you know, showing an area to provide for that additional storage. I know, and again,
Okay.
you know, Neil from our office was involved in permitting this, and I know, you know, looking at that flood storage over, you know, the entire lake. My understanding is the commission did not want to have a compensation area excavated out to attenuate for that fill. If that's something now that we want to look at and show an area to excavate out to recreate that flood storage, we can certainly do that.
Okay,
That was the pickup load, the 4.5 yards, the 122 square.
And also, just real quick, in terms of as-builting the rest of the drive, I mean, as you know, it's essentially, we can shoot the limit of the erosion control. We can show roughly the grades going through, but, you know, at this point, you know, no pavements down, no sub base, you know, so there's really no as-built driveway to shoot, but we can certainly show kind of what the existing grade is, you know, as you come down that driveway. But, you know, we can't really show the limits of what the driveway is until it's actually installed.
so you can't show what's been cleared
I can show
until
that.
they put the 10-foot pavement in? Is that what
Well,
you're
we-
saying?
No, I'm saying we could certainly show what's cleared, and what I said is we can show the erosion control,
Okay,
the existing erosion control, and we can show some topo through there. But in terms of a driveway, you know, it hasn't been installed yet.
okay,
So eventually you're gonna have a paved driveway, you're gonna have a shoulder, you know, and we can show grading and everything on that.
okay.
But
Matt,
what we did
are
pick
you
up.
on, Matt?
Yes, I am.
He made a statement that we did not look for floodplain compensation for what was filled. Generally, we always ask for floodplain compensation. Do you have any recollection of that at this point?
I don't have any recollection. I have to review the minutes.
Okay,
Yeah, the other thing to look at is on the approved plan, and basically I copied that same schedule where I show, you know, what the additional is. If you can kind of go back to where that table was. What it breaks down is it outlines the amount of flood storage loss, and then it identifies how much was compensated for. And if you look at the approved plan, it basically has 0 as the number of compensated flood storage. And my understanding was just the fact that it was relatively minimal, and, you know, the act of going in and recreating that. So you see there, it says floodplain to be created, and it says 0.
Rich, I do seem to recall there was some discussion about recreating floodplain, and the only area that they were going to look to do it would have been in BVW. And at that point, the commission was concerned, but what the final conclusion was, I don't recall. I'd have to look at the minutes.
okay, yeah. So I'll let you look at that. I mean, myself, I generally always call for floodplain compensation to be added. All right, so at this point, it looks like we're looking for some as-built information on the remaining parts of the driveway. I'll open it up. I see Jeff Viviano has his hand up.
Yeah, Rich, this is just for me, but and maybe for others. If Butch can show that picture, if you have a picture from the lake looking at your lot, a picture's worth 1,000 words. So can you share your screen, and do you possibly have a picture with that? Is Butch there?
I am, I'm looking for it.
Okay.
Okay.
While he's looking, Jack, you had a comment?
Yeah, just a quick question with regard to the driveway location on the lot in front of the house. I know I can't see it. Rich, is it need to be enlarged or something, or I just don't see where that driveway's been placed?
The driveway within the crossing?
No, not the crossing, in front of the house. Where is that? Where is it connecting? How is it running on the property? What's the size? What are we dealing with here?
So again, same as what we were talking about on the access road in is at the moment, there is no as-built driveway there.
Right. And so the assumption would be 10 feet with 2 foot on each side, buffer on each side?
Well, I think what would happen there is they would construct the driveway based on the footprint of the approved plan.
And stay within the 50 feet, huh?
I believe it's outside of the 50.
Outside of the 50?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that was one of the.
Yeah.
No. I don't think it's
So, yeah,
outside of the 50.
It's not.
No, because the 50
Yeah, I
runs
think it
right
goes
along
right
the
to
edge
the
of the
30.
house here.
Yes, yes, yep. Sorry, I was thinking of 30, but yes.
So
yep,
this
it's
is the
within
approved.
the 50. Yep.
So it looks like the wall is in the location that it was approved. Where they haven't paved, it's just graded out front of the house at this point, so it's really hard to tell. But I mean, it has to be as was approved.
Right, and there's nothing in terms of no driveway identified.
Well, it's,
And anything within,
yeah, this is the approved plan, Jack, this dotted line right here.
yeah,
This is the paved area
okay,
right here.
okay.
And I would imagine they have a walkway going to the door here.
Sure.
Correct,
So,
yeah.
Yep,
Okay,
yep, so,
thank you. Sorry, just didn't see it.
yep, no, like I said, it looks like, because there's the wall there. There's the wall there. This is the area they've got graded off for the driveway. We
Right.
did add a couple, actually. Is that propane tank on there? It looks like it is. I just have too much crap on my screen. All right, yep. As-built propane tank right here. That's within the 50 foot.
Yeah.
That was not on the approved plan. Thank you for adding that, Butch.
Yeah, and what we did is I tried to show the proposed features on this as-built plan just in a grayscale, so you can see that same dashed line for the driveway on the as-built plan just in grayscale.
Okay.
There's another propane tank up by the garage as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there you go.
Yep, that one there.
Any luck, Butch?
Oh, yeah, I, as soon as I was allowed to share my screen,
Okay.
I just didn't want to bother everybody. This is, you cannot share your screen while I look at this one, Sharon, sorry. Okay.
All right, you should be allowed to share now, Butch.
So this is right, this is before you even took the tree down that you allowed me to. Well, no, there's the tree that you allowed me to take down. This is before the silt fence was moved to the opposite side of that. This is right there. This is everything that was,
The pre-existing concrete slab.
the slab is there. You can
which is
see,
on
you
the
can
paved
see,
walkway.
you can see that tree is still there today. That tree still is there today. That low-lying shrubbery is all there today. I did take that right there down. Okay,
And everything else is on the other
everything
side
else
of
is
the
just the way it
walkway.
is. If you came out here today, you would see, you can clearly even see everything that you're talking about in the slope, Rich, that you're saying I have to put trees back in there. There's nothing there.
Yeah, there's no trees.
Oh, I just want you to put it back to the way it was approved.
And I totally agree with you, Rich. I'm very open to that.
So do you have any pictures from the lake
I do,
looking at the lot?
I do. Can you see that?
And that's,
Not yet.
It's
Hold on.
still the old,
Yeah. See that one?
are we still sharing?
Am I sharing?
You're
oh,
sharing,
you're
but
sharing, you just
we're
have
only
the old picture there.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay, okay.
And we're
so-
still seeing the same photo.
Yeah, okay, that's why. I gotta put this one back up. So the best lake one I have is that one where I took those little things down, where the sneakers were. And then I also have,
I think it's this one. Showing the walkway.
hold on here, where is it? This one. Lakeside. Everything's from the,
Everything's from the land side out. We don't have too many from the lakeside. We have to really look.
Okay.
Pictures from years ago, you know, when
But hold
we
on, I
first
got
started
this.
looking at it.
I think this is the best one right there too.
So that shows the old cart path, or whatever you want to call it, that goes to the water where our pontoon boat is.
Okay. So you don't have anything prior to this being, I guess, without the trees still standing.
This one is the best depiction of the,
Okay.
Hey, oh, go ahead, sorry.
So I guess to help me with my, I guess, voting determinations and stuff, I just have a few questions. Why was the crossing widened?
I think he went on the other side of the line.
We think when he put the
When he put-
block, when it was marked, instead of putting the front of the block where the line is, he put the back of the block, so it ended up being a little bit wider. I don't think he did anything intentional. I think he just misunderstood when he installed it.
Okay. Why was the erosion protection, I'm sorry, expanded
To move
so
that-
much?
To move that big tree with all the big excavating equipment that was out there, and we should have moved it back, but we didn't.
Yeah. I take full credit for it along the lake. I honest to God, I take full credit for that. I should have had the guys move the erosion controls in a U shape around the large pine. We pushed the whole thing back. The rest of it,
Okay.
the rest of it was just either blow down or just actually trying to get access around the house on the, if you were to look at the north side of the house on the right-hand side where the propane tank is, where that got expanded there, that got expanded by about 4 feet. That was just so we can maneuver around the house with machinery, because it was so tight. We couldn't even move to get to the back side of the house once we were putting the foundations, after the foundations were in to backfill. But I do take credit for take blame for the lake. The driveway, the road, I'm sorry, the bridge area, the crossing, the wetland crossing area there. I didn't even know it until actually, I knew it was by tape measure. If you scale the drawings and you take a tape measure, I thought it was about 18 inches, just roughly.
Yeah, okay.
Brandon brought up last week that it was 3 feet. The stones are in fact 3 feet wide. So I think he just laid the line laid the stones on the wrong side of the line.
So there was a large pine that was in that cove on the east side, kind of the northeast side. How did that fall?
Wind.
Yeah, remember it was
Wind.
raining in the lake.
That was that
We
time
told
that
to
you came
clean it
out on your jet ski and you actually
Yeah.
was gonna get rid of that. Yeah, we had a bunch of blowdowns there. I actually have, in fact, I sent them to Matt too a while back. That was last year, because once you clear a vegetated area, and it's just everything's susceptible to wind. That was for the most part, you can even see the stumps that were actually dead. There was
Yeah,
no-
I've seen the
there was
stumps.
no- Yeah, there was no,
Okay.
there was no root ball to it at all.
Okay. And why did you place the propane tanks inside of 50?
Actually, I didn't even know that was a problem.
Okay. Just a question on your as-built. It looks like you're proposing 6 to 8 foot height range trees, but on your sketch, it has 10 to 14 foot planting height with 2-inch calipers. What's your plan there?
I would defer to Brandon on that.
Yeah, so I assume you're talking about the mitigation plan. I don't know if we can
Yeah.
put that back up just so I can see what you're talking about.
So if you look at the planting schedule,
Yeah,
they all say 6 to 8 feet, but if you look at the deciduous tree planting sketch down below,
yeah, so the
that
detail,
shows
yeah, the detail
10 to
below,
14.
the detail
If you
below
scroll
is
down,
pretty,
Rich,
yeah.
there you go.
Yeah, so that's just a typical tree
So that's
planting
typical.
detail.
Okay,
The actual height specification and size is based on the planting schedule.
gotcha. Okay, that'll help me out. Thank you. That's it, Rich.
Rich, you're muted.
This was the only picture I could find prior to construction was the Google Earth. And is this spot here where the house is now?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So I mean, it was substantially vegetated. It looked like you had already started to do some tree work on the site for the pictures you had, so.
Well, the pictures we showed you were after the log guys were there.
Exactly, right. So trees were removed, but again, just so we have some idea of before. I mean, the site was definitely not void of vegetation
Well,
at the
it's
beginning.
Also, that's a summer picture and not a spring or fall picture where the trees aren't in bloom yet.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes, but again, I mean, you have an idea of the vegetative cover that was on that peninsula prior to construction. So
Agreed.
I just wanted to have some reference point that we're talking about trees on the site and what was removed. And I mean, basically, this is what it was. And we've removed everything inside this envelope. Every tree is removed. So plus all of this out to the edge of the water. So all of this is now void of trees where before we started, there were lots of trees. So.
Yeah, the only point I would make to that would be and again, I know there's a dispute over where the erosion control is, but based on the approved plan, is the erosion control barrier served as the limit of work, which would obviously entailed removal of vegetation. And then there was mitigation proposed in several areas that were to revegetate within that. So
within the envelope of work, correct?
Correct.
Yeah,
correct.
and we're talking about this area outside here, which is all of the violation that was graded.
Correct.
In violation of the order conditions.
Yeah.
So, Jack, I see you have your hand up.
Mr. Chairman, since we're sharing pictures, can we go on into our deck and open up my PowerPoint and share that? Again, this one you're looking at is not, as I shared with Matt, was not the final version. This was just quickly getting some pictures over to the chairman to allow him to see what had actually gone on. So if we're talking what happened before and after. That's what this PowerPoint is, but there are a few items that are missing. But if I could ask you to put that up, just to give Jeff and the other members a sense of what really happened versus what we were led to believe by the originals approved drawings.
Mr. Chairman, if I could.
I am going to hold on that right at the moment, Jack, because again,
Okay.
I think it's kind of a moot point where it's a violation. We have to decide as a commission to what extent we're looking to remediate. We're under no obligation to have it put
Right.
back to what the applicant thinks it was, what we think it was. This is a violation and we're under,
Right. And
it is our discretion as to what we want to have done in this violated area. So.
Okay. Yes, that would be absolutely correct. But I just wanted to clarify for some of the members that it wasn't exactly as we had thought. And I would urge the members, and I know that's a big load to bring out in the machine. I don't know if we can do that, but to ask the other members to go ahead and take a look at that. And there's a lot more in another file that Matt hasn't didn't bring up. And it's just that it began right from the moment you started going down the driveway. But since we're not going to, I'll go along with Rich. You don't want to see it, but it's beyond what we would normally comprehend as anything remotely acceptable. Thank you.
Okay. Butcher, have your hand up?
Yes. Can I just understand a question from the commission? Am I entitled on the limit of work from the erosion controls, as going back to the original, and within the limit of work, I can remove trees, correct?
No.
Yes?
You can outside of the 50-foot no structure zone, I believe. It's either the 30-foot or the 50-foot.
Right.
Fair enough.
But continue your question.
No, I'm just trying to understand, because when we do the as-built of the driveway, you will clearly see that the erosion controls have not been moved 1 inch.
Okay.
The original state, from the original placement of those, they've never been compromised. And I will answer to Jack's question. The trees were removed. Yes, some trees were removed and within the limit of work. And that's it.
Yeah, as long as it was on the approved plan and the order of conditions and it hasn't changed, that's fine.
I will bet Jack $100,000 in an open public forum that driveway has not changed.
Okay.
At
At this point, I think we'll stop that conversation until we get the as-built. So, but as long as it's, as a chair, as long as it's within the approved order of conditions,
yeah, it is.
You're fine. So
that's why I wanted to ask the question. As long as it's within the limit of work, I just wanted to find that out myself. So
yes, and the erosion protection was the limit of work, I believe, all along there. So
agreed.
Okay.
Let me raise my hand.
Okay, Jack.
Mr. Chairman, if I might counter, we have in fact put erosion controls beyond the limit.
And again, just because it's getting, I'd like to just move this along, Jack. I mean, until we get the order, until we get the as-built, we're arguing about things that we're not sure of. So on both sides.
They do not necessarily always indicate the limit of work, the scope of work. It's basically where we ask to have the controls based on the topography and the vegetation. I've never seen where it says that's as far as you can take it. It's been a guideline, but never.
It all depends on what's written on the approved plan and what we come back with the limit of work.
Right.
So.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, Mr. Viviano.
I have one picture I'd like to share.
Okay, go for it.
Let's see. My first time doing this, so let me. Can you see that?
I can.
So this is my memory at least, that shoreline essentially from where the water is to where they're kind of saying where the proposed silt fence was supposed to be. I believe that picture is a pretty good depiction of what was down there prior. The only thing you can't see is that big pine tree that was taken out, but I think you can see the stump. Oop. So that is a picture that I was looking for from the lake with the vegetation that was there, essentially from the limit of work, which is that proposed, that silt fence to the water, which I understand now that's all completely regraded and it's taken down about 3 feet, and those scrub bushes to the left are still remaining. So that's kind of what I remember. Okay, thank you.
All right. Katie, haven't heard from you. Do you have anything, any questions or anything to add? Looking at the remediation plan and the violation.
Nothing to further add. I've just been listening to all you guys and all your viewpoints. Nothing to add, but I would like to see was it the whole as-built plan as opposed to the partial one, as we were talking about earlier.
Okay, and do you have a feeling as to the remediation as they presented, or are you looking to see the grading put back to what was approved?
I would like to see the grading put back as approved.
Okay, Patty?
Sorry, I had to unmute. I don't know. I'm kind of torn, honestly. What are the options are you providing tonight? Whether or not they regrade it or?
Well, I'm just asking, we have the remediation plan before us. Are you more inclined to the remediation plan as submitted or putting back the property as was approved? As far as the grading goes.
I think I would go with the plan that is submitted.
Okay. Do you have any other questions or comments for the applicant?
No, I just go back to, because I am new and I am still learning, but I go back to how many trees are you supposed to have? There's a formula. And do they have enough trees or do they need to put more trees in to get to that formula? If they have that formula, I don't see why the low blueberry bushes would not be enough.
Okay, well, the formula pertains to how many trees were removed. And they have graded in the 30-foot no-touch zone and removed what vegetation was there. So those are a couple of the issues that we're trying to address right now.
Okay, so instead of saying that the trees have to be replaced, I would like to see the blueberry bushes that someone had talked about earlier.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions, Patty?
No, thank you.
Mike?
Yeah, I would like the max amount of restoration required based on what everyone's been talking about, restored if possible. And I'm assuming, will that be addressed on the as-built? Or are we asking for more than what the as-built is going to show us?
So they've submitted 2 tracks. One is an as-built, which is a picture of the conditions today as compared with what was approved. And they have submitted a remediation plan for the violations outside of the limit of work that was graded and vegetation was removed. So we have 2 plans before us tonight. At least it'll be my request if the commission agrees to finish the as-built for the whole driveway. And we need to discuss and develop the remediation plan if what we have is the tract we want to go on, or if we want to go have it back more towards what was originally approved as far as the grading and the waterfront.
And what was originally approved requires them to do more than what they have done so far?
So what was originally approved, what they've gone past. So this is what was originally approved. right here.
Okay,
The driveway is 2 feet. The crossing here is 2 feet wider, so that there's a violation there. Grading occurred outside of the limit of work here down to the edge of wet. Grading occurred outside of the limit of work over in this area here. The limit of work was to this line here, and these grade lines are what were approved. Currently now it's basically from, they've taken about 4 to 6 feet out of this berm right here and flattened it from the house right out to the edge of the lake. And again, a little more grading down in through this area here. So that in the house envelope is what was done in violation of the order of conditions. So their remediation plan that they've submitted tonight has regrading in through here in this banking and stabilizing it with plantings. This area over here, they have it stabilized with plantings. Looks like we have a couple boulders and some plants in through here, but they are not putting forth any remediation for the grade. Right now, the grade used to come up to 108 to 106 through here, and now it's 102. So 4 to 6 feet of fill has been removed from this area here. And they have added a pathway at this point, but again, I would rather see us deal with the remediations and then they can resubmit for any additions or changes that they want to the existing order of conditions.
I sort of like that idea, Rich.
Okay. And your feeling on the grading and the remediation as they've submitted it here?
It seems as if they're giving us less than what the commissioners would like, correct? And do we have any recourse in getting more remediation in those areas? Or are we stuck with what has been or what's being recommended or suggested by the applicants?
At this point, nothing's been submitted to say that they can't put it back to what was approved as far as the grading. And then we would determine the plantings in the violated areas as to what be needed for replacing the plant material and stabilizing the bankings.
Yeah, I'm certainly looking to see more to be done to restore those areas that have been previously done without approval.
Okay. So I guess as far as direction, are you looking for it more back to where it was or more plantings as to what they've submitted now?
Whatever is perhaps more environmentally sound is perhaps the way we should go.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions for the applicant, Mike?
Not at this time.
Okay. Jeff, any comments on direction of the remediation plan that I have up?
Yeah, I think the southeast side, that looks great. I think that area on the easterly side looks good as well. I think that's satisfactory to me. I think where those trees came down into the cove on that northeast side, yeah, on the east side, yeah, there was a large pine that came down and some other trees that were in the water. I'd like to see 3 trees down at the water's edge there.
Okay, in this area here? By the
That,
22-inch
and
dead
kind of
pine
further
stump?
northwest of that, yeah.
Okay,
Yep.
in this
so,
open area here?
Yeah, and if they can, down as close to the water as you can for the shading.
Okay.
I'm kind of torn with the grading. I'm going to try and think outside the box here. There is an area to the north of this property, or I guess this frame, that has a concrete block wall. That was used years ago. Boats used to pull up on it. And I mean, motorcycles used to park there back in the day when I was a kid and just kind of hang out and party. But if that area is remediated and that stone structure is taken out, it's all kind of broken and falling down. It's been there for probably 60 years. If that area is removed and remediated, that would go a long way with me not having to refill this whole backyard that they have. I think the grading as is right now.
So
is
you're
probably-
talking up here, the landing and the wall out at the water's edge?
Exactly.
Okay.
That's a big area that could be mitigated.
Mm-hmm.
And that would be a nice little area to get replanted and revegetated and release that back to the environment instead of it just being concrete. That would go a long way with me keeping this level flat yard in the front. I think that's probably beneficial to get things rooted that much closer to the water level itself. Just living on the lake, in my experience, it's very difficult to grow much of anything. Everything is sand and gravel, and you can fill it with as much soil as you'd like, but you essentially just have to water it for almost 2 years straight to get the root structure down to where it can almost reach the lake bed, or I should say the lake water. So as far as refilling that area, if that area to the north is mitigated, that would go a long way with me. I think that area where the blueberry bushes were proposed, I think that picture that I showed is that area. And that my memory is correct. There was just kind of, there wasn't much of anything there. It was a bunch of pine needles and there weren't any trees at all. But I would like to see the trees as specified on the schedule brought up to that 10 to 14 foot 2-inch caliper as designated below in the detail, instead of a 6 to 8 foot as proposed on this planting schedule. I think the propane tanks, that was probably just a miss. You know, it's close, but and as far as the bridge, there's no real way to. It seems fair to me that it was just a mistake on field. And then as far as the cart path that's proposed, I think they had originally said they were going to use that existing cart path for access to the lake. I know that's in the future, but just looking at this property as a whole, that's how I feel.
Okay, thank you. Jack?
Here again. Okay, Butch, would it be possible to get some of the pictures that Brian shared with us?
Jack, if you could just
through you,
your
Mr. Chairman, I'm
keep
sorry.
your comments as to the remediation plan, your feelings as to how it exists and
Right, I would like
what
to.
you would like to see.
Okay, I think I've shared a lot. Basically, we lost a lot of habitat. I'd be interested to make sure that we're fully vegetating down to the water's edge. And we know that could use some improvement for sure. And again, I've already stated this a few different times. The trees that were pushed down, and I'm with Jeff, that put a few more back down in that area. We also lost a few others outside of that. Yeah, put it all back. And I believe that we approved a plan and we should be legally, we are under no obligation to move from that. So I guess to you, Mr. Chairman, has the results of this as-built results been shared with DEP?
Butch?
He's been down here twice.
And have we seen any responses yet, Butch? I'm sorry, through Mr. Chairman.
So Matt Morrow can speak to this, that I think he can anyways. He has left it in your happy hands. And whatever the result to this conservation, we'll have to formally submit the approved plan by this conservation to the DEP.
He didn't have any violations, issues with it.
He's fine with this plan. I mean, fine with the,
Eh.
fine with the infractions. He's left it up to you guys to, whatever you guys come up with, I have to resubmit to DEP.
So
So
he's withholding
Comment.
comment until we've decided how we're gonna handle the violations.
To resubmit that
Basically.
plan, the new proposed, whatever migration plan it is, I have to formally submit that to him.
Okay, and natural heritage?
Fine. Brian wrote them a letter and that case is closed.
Okay. Matt, have you received anything from natural heritage?
I haven't received anything from Natural Heritage as far as them closing the case out. I did receive the initial violation letter, and my understanding of the procedure as it is right now is that the commission is going through what it's doing right now, finalizes and agrees upon remedial action with the applicant. Those revised plans would then be submitted to DEP and Natural Heritage for their stamp of approval at that point.
Okay.
And the commission, should remember the fact, which I know you guys do, but just to put it out there, a lot of our approval was based on bylaw, and a lot of the conditions were based on bylaw and not state regulation. So the state, because there is a combined permit, the state is deferring to the commission to ensure that it feels its bylaw interests have been protected. And once that's done, it will take the plans and then, amend or redo its order or allow the plan to go through as a field change up to the divisional office at that point. But he's essentially waiting for us to come to an agreement because he feels we have a good handle on it. He doesn't feel it's necessary at this point for him to start his own enforcement action. He's just waiting for us to come to agreement.
Mr. Chairman?
Mr.
If I may,
Rabbit?
just to add to that, Matt, correct me if I'm wrong, and maybe it's another site, but I believe in the letter that we received from Natural Heritage, they indicated that a cease and desist was in effect. Is that this particular property?
The cease and desist was from them doing any further violation. In other words, any further vegetation
Any work on that property
outside the limit that was approved.
Right. So therefore, there was a cease and desist on that property from Natural Heritage as well.
Outside the limit of the work that was approved.
Right, which is, right, yeah, anything outside of the 50 feet, basically.
Limit of work, Jack. That is your erosion controls. Yes, outside the limit of work.
Butch, I'm gonna have to check with our attorney on that one.
You should.
I won't bet you because I think you got a little more money than I do.
Excuse me. We, as a commission, have issued a stop work on all of the grading and all of the site work on this site due to the violations on site, irregardless of the letter from Natural Heritage. The commission has the authority and has exercised it to stop all work on this site as far as the grading goes. So that is not in dispute. Did you have anything else, Jack?
No, I'm done, Mr. Chairman. Thank you. Sorry, we should look at it.
For my comments, on the easterly side, I do echo Jeff. I'm happy with the southern remediation area near the driveway, as long as the driveway is constructed as approved. The easterly side, working in that area, adding some plant material back in. I would concur with Jeff, his suggestion on adding 3 more trees there on the easterly and northeasterly water side, water's edge. As far as the easterly slope, I cannot, in good conscience, approve anything as far as allowing the grading to stay as it exists today. There's a clear violation inside the 30-foot no disturbance zone. This site was very contentious. It was denied the first time and then came back for approval. So the successive violations on here, I have a very hard time with. Butch is a contractor. I think we should have had a little better handle on this. As soon as the first violation occurred, with everything that's happened, the commission should have been communicated with, so that the remaining problems didn't happen. I don't know what happened with the pine. The pine was supposed to be taken out, was not supposed to be taken out. That is not an excuse for the sheer amount of grading that took place outside of the root mass of that pine tree. So, like I say, in good conscience, I can't allow the grading or any of the work inside the 30-foot that was not approved to stand. I would like to see it, the grading replaced as was approved. I think it's a horrible precedence to set that we would allow this grading at the, as it exists today, to remain. It just furthers anybody moving forward to ask for forgiveness as opposed to permission as far as working in the water's edge. So I would like to see that grading replaced and revegetated, similar to what we have on site. I think there should be a few more trees along the water's edge. I know there's contention as to what vegetation was there. I go back to the pre-existing site. There clearly was a canopy over this entire site. So there were certainly trees that were removed prior to some of the photographs. I can't say what they were, but we go back to pre-existing conditions. And again, the site was completely vegetated. You couldn't see any foundations. You couldn't see any concrete. You couldn't see anything else on there. So there was a substantial canopy that was there that along the water's edge should be replaced with the foliage and the plant material in the understory needed to hold back the banking once it's replaced. So those are my thoughts and opinions on the remediation plan. At this point, everybody's had a chance to express what they're looking for. It looks like we're kind of split as far as the grading portion of it goes. So at this point, we need the finished as-built for the driveway. I'm going to recommend that a plan be amended for the grading to be replaced. And I'm just going to ask quickly who else is in favor of that request. Katie?
Yes.
Patty?
Aye.
Jack? Jack? Mike?
Yes.
And Jeff?
Again, I'm torn. If we could get that area to the north remediated, I would be fine with the grading as is, but that's, I guess, in Butch's hands.
I guess my only problem with that large area up there, Jeff, is where it's right on the water's edge. I think they'd have a very hard time removing it and remediating it myself, but
yeah.
So, but at this point, there is a majority looking to have the grading replaced on the west side, the lake side. So,
I mean, it's a pretty ugly area, and it's not very well. It's mostly concrete. I think it'd be nice to get all that concrete out of there and get it revegetated. I think that would be outstanding. But without that, yeah.
Yeah, this is Brandon. My only comment on the grading, again, it's certainly your prerogative. But looking at the original plan, I don't know if that was a 3-on-1 slope, just in terms of bringing material in now. Obviously, we're going to plant on it, but in terms of risk of erosion, in terms of revegetating that, it's certainly less of a risk of erosion with it being a gentler, flatter grade through there. The ultimate goal is obviously to revegetate it and get it naturalized. Environmentally, I guess I can't say whether the steeper slope versus a flat slope, what it is that you're looking for. But in terms of erosion, obviously the flatter, the better, I would think, being that close to the fact that it's within the 30-foot.
Okay, thank you. So at this point, Butch, it looks like we're gonna continue waiting for the finished as-built for the driveway and work with Brandon on the westerly side, trying to get the grade back to what was approved. And if we can add the few trees in on the easterly side and update the planting legend for 10 to 12 foot 2-inch caliber trees and not 6 to 8 foot whips. Have I missed anything, anybody? Butch?
So as Joanne has just stated, and what Jeff is asking now, so if we're gonna, well, did we talk about the bridge crossing? Because I'd like to be able to do this one more time. You know, this is, the summer's gone by us, the planting season is nearly beyond us, and we're gonna end up looking like this for about, until next spring or next fall. And I'm already having some erosion control problems on these banks, as you well know, Rich. You know, that was the whole purpose of putting in that riprap, just to stabilize some areas.
Mm-hmm. My feelings on a crossing are, hello?
Yeah.
So my feelings on a crossing, and we can just go around the table really quick.
Yeah.
It's not going to get pulled out. I personally would like to see the 394 cubic feet of floodplain filling be remediated somewhere here on the site.
It's 122, Rich.
Well, I honestly, I'm generally, I fight for that floodplain, and you're not supposed to be filling it in, so I would.
Rich, I really am. I'm fine doing what you want. I mean, if you want me to dig it out, I'll dig it out.
Yep. So I'd like to see a proposed area for the floodplain storage remediation on the driveway. Like I say, I don't think there's any way we're gonna fix the driveway, but again, it just adds to the problems. I mean, and I've said enough about the violations as it stands. Does anybody else have a different proposal for the driveway other than just remediating the floodplain violation? I see no hands or
Mr. Chairman, was
comments.
that the driveway or just the bridge? Are we
The
talking
crossing.
the crossing? Okay.
Yes.
Obviously I'm carrying some sort of anger, but I need to put that aside. It would not appear to be practical to tear the thing down or have them move it. And I would rather see the rest of my driveway remediated to put it more in a natural habitat that was there before.
Well,
So-
let's see if it's within the order of
Yeah.
conditions first, so.
Right, and so I'm okay with that.
All right,
Okay with-
Jeff, you have your hand up?
Yeah, I guess just to educate, what could you possibly do to increase that floodplain area? I just don't see it, I guess.
They have to dig out, Jeff, so they have filled in floodplain. So they
No, I
have to
understand that.
compensate for that somewhere around the edge.
And I'm just trying to find a spot they could do it, I guess.
Yep.
I just don't see anything.
Well, it's up to them to figure that out, so.
Yeah.
I mean, and again, you're not supposed to be filling in floodplain without compensating for it.
No, I
So
completely
regardless
understand.
of, so they have to compensate for the floodplain filling.
Can I make a proposal of the area right now, and so we can get it on the drawing?
I'm sorry?
Can I make a proposed area now, so we can get it on the drawing for the next submission of the drawings?
Well, we're still waiting on other drawings, and if we're gonna be looking at regrading, so we'll need to see the grade lines for where we're gonna be putting the grade back on the westerly side of the house. So at this point, wherever you and your engineer decide is the best spot for it, and your wetland specialist, Brian Butler.
Okay, what I was about to say, Rich, is just the north side of the isolated wetlands, because I wouldn't be removing any more vegetation in order to get to the wetland.
Yeah, wherever you think will work the best.
Okay. That was the whole reason why we decided not to excavate that area. Brian Butler proposed a order. I don't even know the the DEP following case number 6663 allows the current commission to vote on or off the added compensatory storage. You guys agreed you didn't want it because Bob Pease felt it was too intrusive of the isolated wetland area. That's the back history there. But
Okay.
I'm happy to put it in. Again.
Well, let's explore it. I mean, we have to do something because the driveway is clearly not what was approved, so put it on there and then we can discuss it at the next meeting.
Where you want an as-built, are you saying that we have permission to put the 10-foot driveway in now?
No, we need an as-built as the conditions exist today.
Yeah.
And the driveway is whatever the driveway was approved at. So I'm not sure.
Basically, it's the hay bales and silk fence or the silk fence.
So we'll get the
where
as-built
that
for it.
is.
Well, again, it's whatever was approved. And no more, no less.
And do you want us to start the plantings or no? On that,
On those areas.
the two sides, the easterly side, I guess, and the southerly side of the house?
At this point, if you're gonna have everything ready for the first, we should just wait till the first. And not muddy it up. 2 weeks isn't gonna make that much of a difference at this point. And if we can get it approved, then you can get in there and get it done all at once rather than trying to piecemeal it here and there.
It's just lining people up.
Yeah, and I mean, if we approve it in 2 weeks, you can start lining people up and then they can do everything at once rather than have them come in and then have to have them come back. So.
So I want to speak to Jeff's comments about that north wall.
Okay.
If there's ever a time to do it, it's now before I vegetate this whole place again.
Wall's practically falling over.
What do you want to do there, Jeff and gang? I'd be happy to revegetate that whole entire area and get that wall out of there. If I'm doing it, I'm going to do it now because it'll never get done afterwards. Because after the slopes are all put back together and it's all vegetated and those trees that are proposed back there, you'll never get a machine back there. Right now, I have to restabilize that area because I took those concrete areas out anyways. So that has not been restabilized. Do you want that wall out or not?
Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Viviano.
I mean, I'm pretty familiar with the property. I'm not sure if many of the other members are, but it's about probably 40 or 50 foot long, 3 foot high, and it's got 2 wing walls on it. It's just a concrete wall that's falling down. If he's willing to revegetate that area and remove all that concrete, I think that's huge, and that would be easily, and in fact, a bonus compared to what he's done to the property, if that area were to be reestablished and revegetated. I mean, that's my opinion. I think if that's done, I kind of have to agree with the engineer speaking that raising that grade, you're going to have more difficulty growing, and I think you're opening it up to erosion. So I guess I know you don't want to really set precedent, but again, if we set precedent, as you're going to have to mitigate that large area, which sounds like he's willing to do, I think that is huge, and that's a big win for us. Again, that's my opinion on the grading in that area.
Okay, thank you, Jeff. Anybody else?
And again, I don't know this is Brandon. I don't know what the elevations are at that wall, but one of the challenges in doing this flood compensation is going to be, obviously, we need to excavate areas within that same elevation that was filled. If we remove that wall, obviously we're going to have to bring that slope back, because if the wall's not there, we just need to get that grade back to a manageable slope. That may also lend itself for the flood compensation.
That's true.
Yeah.
I didn't think of that.
Well, I mean, you can review it over the next couple of weeks and let us know from there.
So could we take a poll with the members? If that area is mitigated, they'd be happy with that grading as is.
Sure. Anybody changing their mind on swapping out the grading as approved for taking out the concrete to the north? Okay, there's your answer.
So nobody's in favor of removing about 70 feet of concrete, a 3-foot wall, and revegetating it instead of filling in 3 to 4 feet of fill.
Well,
That's
and-
not
and
really
it-
going to do much at all.
So at
I
this
just don't
point, I
understand
would,
that.
at this point, I would allow the applicant to present both at the next meeting. That'll give them a chance to look at it, maybe grab a couple pictures of what they're looking to remediate and what they're talking about.
Okay. That's fair.
Yeah, at this point, again, for myself, I want to see back to what we had approved, no more, no less. So, I mean, that was obviously something they could have offered at the application portion of this, not at the violation portion of this. So,
I'm not offering it as a trade-off. I'm just saying, if you want me to do it now, now's the time to do it.
Yep.
If not,
I have a bunch of pictures. of-
yeah, so Butch, take a quick look at it with Brandon, and it may solve your floodplain issue to take it out anyways.
yeah, okay, that's fine. And you know,
Yep.
again, I'm just trying to get this thing back on track. So whatever you guys want me to do, I'm willing to do.
Yep, so as built, get the remediation plan to show the grading as was approved on the westerly side. Update the plantings as was mentioned by several commissioners on both the east and the west and the tree schedule.
Okay.
And the floodplain filling.
Fair enough.
All right, have I missed anything, Jack or Jeff?
Fine.
All right.
No,
what do you got?
that's
Do I
it.
need permission from this commission to put a floating dock in,
Yes,
even if it's not a great pond?
or you need access to it.
They're already an actual.
How are you gonna secure the floating dock? So yes, you would need to submit a plan with the floating dock and how you're gonna secure it to the ground. All right. Thank you very much, Butch.
Thank you, guys. See
Have
you
a
in
good
2
evening.
weeks. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Moving forward with enforcements, Matt, 615 Townsend Street.
Okay, so just so you guys know, I'm gonna have to sign off at 9:45. So I want to go through this stuff as quickly as possible and get onto the certificates.
Okay, 615 Townsend Street.
615 Townsend Street, still working with Adam and Casey to go over, there's like a multi-level requirement there.
441 Townsend Harbor Road.
Okay, 441 Townsend Harbor Road, that can be actually taken off at this point because he's remediating as required. And we gave him an amended order of conditions, so we can take that off.
Okay, do we need to vote to take it off, or is it just something you had added as the administrator?
I just kept it, well, I mean, you have to vote to take it off. You have to vote to
All
lift.
right, I'll accept the motion to remove 441 Townsend Harbor Road from enforcement.
Mr. Chairman, I'm sorry, I'm not fast enough on that. But is this, we had some amendments to that. This was Nick's property, wasn't it, in terms of the trees? He's gonna remove a couple that we hadn't been originally cited, an old dead pine or something.
That was the dead pine over by Bill M. Keys, and I believe.
Yeah, right.
Amendment, because we voted for an amendment to his order.
Right.
Jack, I believe you added that in at the last minute before the vote. was
I just, yeah, so therefore it's been amended and that's what we're clearing now? Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, there's an amended order that was approved, and he's complying with the, he's rebuilding the whole house basically.
Right.
to our Specifications, so.
Okay, so that's, as long as that's amended, okay, it's there. I didn't know if we'd actually gotten a vote or got him to agree. Okay, thank you. Take my hand down.
All right, I'll accept the motion to remove 441 Townsend Harbor Road from enforcement.
So
So
moved.
moved.
We have a motion by Patty, a second by Jeff.
Second.
All those in favor? Roll call vote. Katie,
Aye.
Patty,
Aye.
Jack,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
aye for myself. 48 Oak Ridge.
All right, so 48 Oak Ridge and 23 Cove, I want to skip over for tonight so I can review them with Nadia. I haven't had the chance to review them with her yet.
Okay. I
One
did
ninety
drive by
Peninsula-
23 and it seems like his violation is increasing down there, Matt. There's
Actually,
a
he's-
greenhouse there, there's planting beds, there's more filling.
Actually, he's removed some of the fill. He's removed the post and, you know, the what do you call the telephone post he had out there for a wall? That's been taken out. He's added some plantings. He's going to be proposing more plantings. He's just working on that right now.
Okay.
I did meet with him on site about, I don't know, about 10 days ago.
190 Peninsula submerging.
190 Peninsula, I did review that with Nadia. I showed her the site today, where the trees were taken down, and we took down more trees than what we approved. They have hired Lakeview Landscaping to come up with a replanting plan, so that's being worked on right now as we speak.
Okay. 54 Pine Grove.
I inspected that site. The trees that were removed were within the buffer zone, but not in the no-touch zone. So I'm working with the homeowner to file a request for determination to get that retroactively approved.
Okay. 4 Gabes.
4 Gabes, I went out on the site today with Nadia, met with the homeowner. The homeowner has stopped any work that was on the site. He's agreed to file a remediation plan. The whole thing started as a result of me catching it on the building permit portal for a proposed pool. So I've asked for the pool to be laid out in an area that does not go into the 50-foot no structure zone. He's going to do that. He's going to file a future filing with the commission with the remedial work and the proposed pool. So what I've asked him to do is to lay out the pool so that Nadia and I can go look at its location next week to ensure that it's not within the no-touch zone, and then move on with there from the filing.
Right, Mr. Chairman, if you could, before you move, isn't that though, isn't the Gabe's, isn't that where they did the tree removal?
No, it's the house next door.
It's the next door. Oh, okay. Okay, never mind. Thank you. Sorry about that, Mr. Chairman.
No problem. 366 Arbor.
Working with him to file a request for determination. Basically, he just reloomed his lawn in the front, and it happens, the lawn happens to be right next to the wetland, so he just reloomed and reseeded it. There wasn't any vegetation removal. It was just loam added.
Okay. And 250 Sunset.
It's actually 205, sorry. The dyslexia kicked in on that one. I don't know if anyone from the Beers family is here.
I'm here, Ryan.
Who is here?
Ryan Cochran.
Okay, so as the commission will recall, we approved. This is one of the ones for the decking that we had approved for, access to the water at 205 Sunset. The bottom decking actually turned out to have been expanded and actually goes into the water. So now we have a violation on the lower portion. When I emailed Marcia about it, the response I got from Marcia was that it was designed that way because apparently the deck we had approved, they felt would have caused more erosion. So I don't know what the commission wants to do with that, but you guys take it from there.
Okay, Mr. Cochran, do you have anything to support the erosion claim?
So I have a couple statements. So when we went through the original determination, we had unfortunately just a carpenter sketch and not a civil engineering design. And I think a lot of the conversation made it clear that there was going to be some minor modifications, and that because it was a long and difficult slope. So I would say that just in general, first, that all of our decisions were based on trying to minimize the impact to the banking, as I said that I would, and as required, of course, in our bylaws. Let's see. So, as examples for how we tried to minimize the impact, the work was done in the winter when the ground was all frozen and the lake was drawn down.
Unfortunately, Ryan, to try to move this along, can you submit a plan of what exists today as opposed and compare it to what was approved for the next meeting?
I can.
Okay, so we'll put it on for June 1st. at this point, that'll help us to visualize what is there, what was approved, and give us a better idea of why the original would have caused more erosion than what you put in place.
Sure. And
And
do you
then you
need
can
a,
go.
sorry,
I'm sorry, continue.
I was gonna say, how detailed of a plan do you need?
So as you just commented that you got into this problem because you didn't submit a detailed enough plan to us and you've deviated from that, I would ask for as detailed as you can possibly give us moving
Okay.
forward.
All right.
That way there's no ambiguity in our decisions and your application and requests.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Mr.
so-
Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Viviano.
the size of the decks that are there now as well.
Yes,
guess needs to
I'd
be-
ask for what was there and then how that differs from what was approved.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay. Any other information you're gonna need, Jeff?
No, Mr. Chairman, that'll do it. Thanks.
Okay, no problem. Okay, certificate of compliance, Matt.
Mr. Chairman, before we move past the violations,
Yeah,
really quickly, Matt, what happened to the violation we had running with, the Page Pond problem we had? And the farmer and had put in basically a construction site. And I think it was over on Howard Street. And it was being checked out. You had proposed some erosion controls, but it also went a little bit bigger than that. Where is that?
Jack, that was the 615 Townsend Street that we just went.
Oh,
over.
was it? I'm sorry. I keep thinking about 615 Townsend.
Yep.
Okay. And then help me.
Yeah, it's one of those tricky ones. It starts in Fitchburg and goes into Lunenburg. That's why.
Yeah, and they really, only thing we saw was from the other side.
Yeah,
Okay.
I actually have a phone conference I'm going to be scheduling with the butter to go over it. And I want to get Nadia in on the site so she gets in on the ground floor.
Did they ever pull a permit for that construction site for the gravel pit?
That's what we're debating right now internally. And I'd
Okay.
rather
so
not
we
go
didn't
into
lose
it.
it. I just wanted to make sure we didn't lose it. I'm sorry, I had the wrong location. Okay,
Jeff,
thank
you have your
so
hand
much,
up?
Chairman.
Jeff, your
Sorry
hand
about
up?
that. No, I'll
Okay.
lower it now. Thanks.
Okay. And the only other violation, Matt, I don't know if you got a chance to take a look, was West Street where they were filling into the wetland there.
No, I haven't had a chance to do that. I'll do that tomorrow.
Okay, perfect. Certificate of compliance, 335 Chase Road, Lot 1.
Okay, so there's no as-built or anything on this. Essentially, if you guys recall, we had an existing house and they subdivided lots off it, did a driveway crossing, and again, did the design work. I received a request for a certificate of compliance for that, basically due to the fact that the house was not applicable to the order, the existing house. And when the lots were subdivided, one of the orders carried over onto the house. The house isn't applicable. It wasn't subject to the order. So what I'm asking for is the issuance of a certificate of compliance for the house as not applicable to the order. So that lot wasn't even part of the filing. It was the house was meant to stay as is. And that happens sometimes when we subdivide lots that weren't intended to be part of the order, get carried on to the deeds. It's happened with some of the subdivisions. And when these lots were subdivided, it happened here.
So Lot 1 was the existing house on top?
Yeah, it was the existing house in the corner. There was no construction on it.
And Robert Turner here, representing JMJ Homes, the owner of that land in general. And the reason for this being flagged for us was that we've got the existing house, Lot 1, under agreement, and the buyer's attorneys flagged that there were in fact 4 orders of conditions relative to that land as a whole that, as Mr. Morrow suggested, were applied to the lots prior to, or applied to the property prior to the lots being subdivided. And so they're all applicable to Lot 1. So we're hoping for a partial certificate of compliance for that Lot 1 that we're hoping to sell that is under agreement. That would be a certificate of compliance, partial certificate of compliance for 4 separate orders of condition for Chase Road. And will admit this is not my expertise. This is my first time through the ringer. So Matt Morrow, if you correct me on anything that I've stated, that's my understanding of the situation, but appreciate your help on the matter.
That's totally accurate. Again, the house was not part of the order. It would be a partial certificate for this lot only, noted as not applicable. So it would be specifically noted on the form.
And Matt, I'm sorry, was it I'm not saying that the buyer's attorneys were correct, but they had noted 4 separate orders of condition. Is that what you show on your end as well? Or did they get it wrong and there's only one?
No, there's 3 separate orders. It was for
Okay.
3 lots in a driveway.
Okay, so there was one also that they noted from, I think, the 1980s, which I have in my
I think
mind.
it was
that
1998, Rob. Sorry to jump in.
Thanks, Rebecca.
Okay, so
Yeah.
if I could continue to have the floor here. I'll simply make sure that all of the existing orders are referenced on the partial release. That's really all we need to do at this point.
Thank you.
It's actually,
And this is lot 1 up here, Matt? The existing house and just this septic system here?
yeah, the septic system was out of the buffer zone, so.
Okay. So, and then these were the other houses down here.
That is correct.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from commissioners? Seeing none, I'll accept a motion to issue an order of conditions for lot 1, 335 Chase Road.
So moved.
So moved.
Motion by Jeff, second by, did you second that, Mike?
Yes, I did.
Okay. Any other discussion? Roll call vote. Katie Childs,
Aye.
Patty Adams, Jeff Viviano,
Aye.
Jack Rabbit,
Aye.
Mike LaRouche,
Aye.
and I for myself. All right, moving forward, certificate of compliance, 137 Flynn Road.
Okay, before we get into that, it's on your cloud, Rich. They're requesting a partial certificate of compliance for the completion of the wall. The as-built is there. There's still some stabilization work that needs to be done on areas that weren't affected by the wall. So if we could do the release on the wall, that would be perfect. Again, it would be a partial and they would come in for the remainder later. And, you know, while you're calling that up, I just want to let you know that 939 Northfield is being withdrawn because we discovered when I had Steve Marsden out on site doing the certification letter, there were still some areas that needed to be stabilized. So the builder is going to loom and seed those and bring that back for the June 1 meeting.
Okay. And I guess I didn't quite hear what you said. Why are we issuing just a partial on this and not on the full wall?
If you look at the site photos, it's for the wall itself. And there's still some areas of work on the grounds that were respective to, you know, remediating, you know, tree plantings that still need to be done and some stabilization work. But the wall itself is done. It's stable. Mr. Ramsden actually did a marvelous job, did it in accordance with the order. And the as-built shows this.
I guess I'm going back to why we're issuing a partial on the project as to waiting
that's
until the
what-
full project's done.
That's what the applicant requested.
Okay.
No,
And
because I
Brett,
was
are
gonna
you-
say, what exactly is unstable? Everything was planted, seeded, loomed and seeded and looking pretty good when I left. So I guess I'm
I mean, it's
confused too.
looking pretty good. The request is for a partial certificate, not the full certificate. So that's what I forwarded, was the
Okay.
partial certificate.
So I guess the question, Brett, is generally we don't break them up unless there's a overreaching issue here. Why are you asking for just a partial certificate of compliance on the project and not waiting till the full project is completed?
I thought the project was completed, so I'm
Yeah,
confused as
I
well.
was kind of surprised to see a partial, but I don't have a problem with the certificate being issued. Project looks really well done. I don't have any issues with it, but again, I forwarded what was requested.
Okay, did you go out and see it on Saturday with the site walk, Matt?
No, I didn't go out and see it on Saturday. I went out and saw it by myself.
Okay.
I'm thinking they're a little confused that they needed to do a partial for some reason. I'm not sure why that would be.
Yeah, this is Brian Ritchie, one of the homeowners. My wife filed it, so I'm thinking she filed it wrong because we have done the plantings.
Okay.
We have boomed it. We have.
Does anybody want to see the project prior to issuing a certificate of compliance?
I just have a question, Rich.
Go ahead, Jeff.
On the west side by the two docks, there was a deck area with a large tree. Are you going to replace that deck area and replant in that area? I guess that's the only spot that's in question for me.
We did plant a few dogwoods over there, and we are going to put that deck spanning back, attaching dock to dock. That's the only thing left to do.
Okay, so I just didn't know if that was the reason the order is remaining over, is because that deck's not completed. That's just
That's correct.
Okay, so the deck is not completed yet?
It is not.
Okay, at what, are you looking to complete the deck this summer?
Yes.
Okay.
Hopefully in the next couple weekends.
Okay, at this point, unless you have a reason that you have to have a partial certificate of compliance, we really can't issue it if the project's not completed yet.
Okay.
So
Mr. Chairman?
Mr. Rabbit?
Thank you, sir. Sorry about that. Where they said they had their existing docks, right? They've been there and all they're doing is replacing the docks. Would that be any reason to hold up the rest of it, even if it was a partial? Why wouldn't we just give them the partial?
Because we still have to come back and issue the rest of it anyways. I mean, might as well just do it all at once. If there's still work that was in the application that is not completed, we can't issue a certificate of compliance because it's not completed. If it's work they had to file for.
Yeah.
So that would just be my recommendation at this point, is to just hold and wait till the project is completed and then view it, whatever's left, and issue a certificate of compliance when it is completed. If there's no overarching reason as to funding or selling the house or anything like that, to issue the partial at this point, because we still have to come back and issue more anyways.
And to clarify, it's not the docks. The docks are.
It's a deck.
Never got changed. It's just a little dock connection above a wall that was already there. That's being replaced.
Oh, so it hasn't.
It's a small piece.
Yeah. So unless somebody else has a reason why we should just issue a partial at this point, I would recommend that we hold on this certificate until such time as the project is completed. And I'm not seeing any comments as to the contrary. So if you can, Mr. Ritchie, just give us a quick call as soon as everything is done, and then we could just issue one fell swoop certificate of compliance.
Okay.
So if it's going to be the next few weekends, probably the end of June, just get in touch with Nadia, who will be the administrator in the office at that time, and we can come out and issue that.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Moving forward, 939 Northfield Road, Matt.
Good night, everybody.
Okay.
Good night, Brian.
Rich, that one's being withdrawn. I had just narrated that, but I do have, if I could share my screen, I have a certificate that I talked to Bob about that he was allowing.
Okay.
So what we have here is a 30-year-old order of conditions filed. The file number is 291. Considering we're up in the upper 1200s, that shows you how many years ago it was. It was in 1992. It was for the Keating property, which is relative to the sale of the large lot across the street that is slated to be developed for warehousing, across from where there's warehousing being developed now, which is going to be subject to a new notice of intent. This particular order was a very old order. It had no requirement for an as-built. There's no file that I can find because it's so old, which means it may be sitting up in the attic in some back guano upstairs in the old town hall. Basically, the only condition was follow the plans and the notice of intent.
Mr. Chairman, if I could be recognized, my name is Mark Bedanza. I'm an attorney in Leominster, and I represent the Keating co-tenants who own the underlying land here, much of which is leased by the PJ Keating Company. We ran into this problem, and Mr. Morrow was nice enough to assist me with it in doing one of the conveyances that is related to the development that Mr. Morrow just mentioned. There's a significant amount of tax base being added up there to Lunenburg, quality industrial development that's in process. And when the title to one of these parcels was done, this old order of conditions creeped up. And as Mr. Morrow indicated, we don't even know what the locus is for this. The Keating family owns literally 1,000 acres of land, in Lunenburg and other towns. And where this locus is, nobody knows, but it is sort of gumming up the works for us. And we're asking respectfully that the commission consider a certificate of compliance so we can clean it up and be able to convey clear title.
Mr. Bedenza, quick question.
Sure.
Does it have to be done this evening, or can it be done on the 1st and be properly added to an agenda?
We would greatly prefer that it be done this evening for a couple of reasons. One of it, which is a transaction that's being held up by it. And we're already having difficulties with that transaction. And it may prejudice the whole deal if we can't get the certificate of compliance issued this evening.
Okay. At this point, I'll accept a motion for a certificate of compliance to be issued for, what was the address again, Matt?
I think it's the order of condition just indicates Reservoir Road, Lunenburg, Mass.
Okay. Then do you have the,
And that's all it indicates.
okay, and the DEP number was?
Hold on one sec. It was
288-291.
291. Yep.
208-291. Okay.
288-291.
No, it's 208, actually. The zero
Oh,
just looks like the.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Lunenburg's 208, so. All right, so I'll accept the motion for that. To
So move.
there's a
Second,
motion and a second by Patty, motion by Jeff. Roll call vote, Katie,
aye.
Patty, Jack,
I don't know. I just don't know. I mean, did we check with DEP at all to see if they have any records?
There's nothing to check with DEP. They won't have something that old.
They don't have it, huh? Well, then I would defer to letting progress. Yeah, I'd say yes.
Jeff,
Aye.
Mike,
Yes,
I'm an aye also.
and I for myself.
Thanks, guys. I really appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and to the board. Matt, that's something I could get from you once it's executed, or?
I issue it as a DocuSign and I'll inform you when it's ready.
Okay, thank you very much.
And
Appreciate
Mr.
it.
Bedenza,
Yes,
can you just, had you submitted that application or the request in writing?
I had not, but I can do that. I
Okay,
can send
just
that.
where it does not appear on our agenda, we do need just something from you stating that this would prejudice the sale and it is an emergency request.
Okay, I will send that to Matt first thing in the morning.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Moving forward, administrators reports, determination 172 Peninsula Drive.
I'm gonna
Matt,
withdraw that. Currently, reviewing that situation with Bob.
19 Crocker Ave.
If I could be allowed to share my screen one more time.
Yep, let me just. Yeah, I'm not, so you can.
Okay, so we have 19 Crocker Ave. The buffer zone essentially ends right about here. I can do a measurement for you really quick. I have these trees marked by photo, and for some reason, this thing has now decided to act up on me. So we have, you can see right here is 88 feet. This tree is within the buffer zone. He wants to remove these trees that are out of the buffer zone. There's one tree that's on Brad Kennedy's property that's about 75 feet away. Let me put it, actually, it's right here. It's an old pine. He wants to like either remove it or limit. And the owner here, they're doing it together, wants to remove this tree here. That is, if I can do a quick measurement, that one is going to the closest point. It's 55 feet away from the tree crown. You go to the tree stem, it's 66 feet away. He's not proposing any replanting, but he is proposing to remove these trees, and there's nothing that's proposed to be removed by the shoreline or within the 30-foot zone. That's it, just these trees here. I do have photographic records of it, but I wanted to do the overlay because it represents the distances better.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions on the agent's determination?
I'm gonna worry about putting all this away because.
I'm sorry, say that again?
And it sounds like someone's talking in the background.
All right, does anybody have a question for Matt on determination? If not, I'll accept the motion to ratify the agent's determination. Anybody? Am I muted? Nope, I'm not muted.
You're good. Mr. Chairman, why,
Yep.
if it's within 100 feet and they just want to take it down and split it 60 or 70 feet, why aren't we asking folks to replace the tree? If it's still within a 100-foot buffer, it's still providing some habitat for something. Why wouldn't we be asking? If they say no, it's one thing, but why wouldn't we? Why wouldn't we take every opportunity? Dead trees as well.
Well, unfortunately, I would assume that the one tree that's the 55 feet looks like it's in very close proximity to the house.
Yeah.
It's right at the house. It's right
So-
over the house.
So,
And it is in an area where I don't really think that tree is offering a whole lot.
yeah. I'm just thinking that anything we can do to improve the overall habitat within 100 feet of any wetland is something that we want to strive for. And so would he go ahead and put something in 30 feet away from the house?
Well,
Yeah.
you can always make a motion, see if somebody seconds it.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the removal of that tree, but ask for a replacement within 50 feet of the water.
Yeah, I don't think the owner will have a problem with that.
No.
Okay, do you have a specification for the tree, Jack?
Yeah, a tree. It's a classic tree, 2 inches at chest height. and-
Red maple will work perfect then.
Yeah,
Okay,
red
2-inch red maple. Do we have a second to Jack's motion?
Second,
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any other discussion? So the motion is to allow the trees to be removed and one tree, red maple, 2-inch caliber be put back within 50 feet of the water's edge. And seeing no hands, no other discussion, roll call vote. Katie,
Hi.
Mike,
aye.
Patty,
Aye.
Jack,
Aye.
Jeff,
Aye.
and I for myself.
Okay, so guys, with that, I'm gonna have to sign off. But again, I just wanted to say really quick, this is my last meeting with you guys as your agent, as I go into retirement. Nadia here, we started work together today. I know I'm leaving this position in some very capable hands. She's gonna be awesome at it. I have full confidence on that and in her. And I hope you guys treat her as well as you treated me, because I could have never asked for better. I've been with the town of Lunenburg for 23 years in different capacities as your conservation agent. And I just wanted to say you guys were awesome. If it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't have grown as a person and as a professional. You guys were with me through my divorce, my remarriage, birth of my children. And Rich, you've been there for me for a long time. And to say thank you isn't sufficient, but thank you for everything.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Matt, I can honestly say the 23 years has gone by very quickly. It has been a lot of fun doing this with you. It certainly won't be the same for as long as I sit in the chair moving forward. You've made it a very interesting career here. And I'm a better person for knowing you, and I'm happy every day that I got a chance to meet you and work with you and meet your wife and help you plant your gardens, and you will certainly be missed by the town of Lunenburg, I can tell you that.
Same here, boss. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
And Matt, if I could just say something as well, you've become a really good friend over this last 8 years, and you've taught me so much, and you put me under your wing, and I ask a lot of dumb questions, and you don't laugh at me really hard, a little bit, but I can't tell you how much I really appreciated knowing you and Irene, and you're wonderful people, and I owe you a breakfast someday once you get settled in. We're going. Thank you so much, Matt. Thank you very much.
And with that, guys, I say good night, good luck, and if you ever need me for anything, you know I'm only a phone call away.
Thanks, Matt.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you, Matt.
Take care,
Enjoy
everybody.
your retirement. Yep.
Thank you. Nadia, I'll see you tomorrow, and I look forward to your future with this commission because I know it'll be a good one. Night, guys.
Good night, Matt.
Night, Matt.
Thank you.
Take
Bye,
care.
Matt.
I see we haven't scared Nadia off yet, so. All right, with that, any questions or comments from commissioners?
10 o'clock. That's doing pretty good for this agenda.
Any questions or comments from the public? Seeing none, I'll accept a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second,
We have a motion by Katie, second by Mike. Roll call vote. Katie,
Aye.
Patty,
Aye.
Mike,
aye.
Jeff,
Hi.
Jack,
Hi.
and I for myself. Good
Good
night,
night, everybody.
everybody.
Good night.
Night.
Good night, Nadia.
Night. Yeah, good
Night.
night.
Good night.
Good night, Jim Bob. Good night, John Boy.
Good night, Mary Ellen.
New tradition. Okay.